Oh, dude, sweet. I just saw a great Vivian art piece on Twitter. Underrated character. I haven't
Uh,
played Paper Mario Thousand Year Door though. I
oh, I was about to ask which Vivian you were talking about,
Yeah,
but
yeah, no, I tried playing that game several times, but every time I get to the tutorial, where Toadstool brings you up to his office, he's like, "Hello, you just waited in pipes. I want to teach you about the Thousand Year Door." And then I'm like, "Oh, great!" And I hit A. Come on, skip. Like, oh my goodness, keep going, keep going. And then he goes, "Would you like to hear that again?" And I hit A, and I'm like, "Shit! All right, go back around. Got to go back around the loop." It's like
yeah,
in Futurama when like
yeah,
they
it's
go
like
too far with the time machine and they have to go around again. It's like, all right, keep
fuck,
going.
Game Bora all over again.
And the thing is, B doesn't advance
Yeah,
text.
it
So you have
doesn't.
to go
No.
A. Would you like to hear that? Shit. All right, hit it again. All right, keep going.
Yeah,
And around the third time, I just quit and I went, I'm not playing this game.
yeah. It's like a Nintendo thing, though, right? Like they did that back in Ocarina of Time, and that was annoying as fuck with the owl.
Yeah, and I've never played it.
Yeah,
I mean, I've tried it, but I've never like gotten far enough to really say that I've played it.
yeah. Well, maybe in the remake that just got announced, they'll actually let B advance text this
There's
time.
another
I doubt
remake. I
it.
still have to like I downloaded it on 3DS like a year ago and I started it again, but I haven't gotten to the point of where I'm an adult yet.
No, not
So
Ocarina of Time. Thousand Year Door. That remake that was just announced today.
gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's why I'm sure it's on Twitter.
Yeah, yeah.
It looks the same. I think there's reflections on the wooden boards of the theater, so that's cool. But other than that, it looks exactly the same.
Though you could see a lot of differences. Like you could tell the actual models were redone. There's like different textures and reflections and stuff.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
just
I'm
looks like
sure
a
the models were
much
redone, but
higher fidelity version of the original. That's all it is.
yeah, I assume it's just an accessibility thing at this point. It's
Yeah,
that it's on a GameCube and now it's also on Switch.
and
But they wanted to
comparatively,
make it
like
prettier because,
how many
might
people
as
even
well.
owned a GameCube, right? I think it did as well as the Xbox is doing right now.
Oh, dude, I thought everybody had a GameCube. That was like the first
I
console
think.
that I bought.
No, actually, it's more than Xbox. It's closer to the PlayStation 5, but still, not many people had it comparatively. It's like in like the 30,000
Yeah,
or
I
30
mean,
million range. Yeah.
dude, PS5s, man. I'm basically being like blackmailed into buying a PS5 or like threatened. Threatens is more accurate
Yeah, yeah.
because a friend said, "I want to play Baldur's Gate with this one friend." And I was like, "All right, I'd love because I always want to play D&D with her and I always try to get her
Mm-hmm.
into it. I'm just like, I'd love to play this with you because it's basically D&D and it'll be a great way to ease you in and I'd love to do that in the future." And she was like, "Okay, well my computer's not good enough." And I was like, "Yeah, but they're coming out with a Mac port. It's gonna be great." And she was like, "No, no, no. My computer can barely handle Discord and like Toon Boom
Oof.
Harmony. So I need to get a new computer." And she's thinking Linux because her work uses it. I'm like, all right, whatever. But then she said, if I play it, I'm gonna get it on PS5. And I was like, you don't have a PS5. You're gonna buy a PS5 to play Baldur's Gate. She was like, oh, I might buy other things. I'm like, you don't even have a PS4 right now. It's like at your parents' house. So you've been without it for almost 2 years. And she's just like, yeah, I'll get a PS5 to play Baldur's Gate. I'm like,
That's such a
so
weird
so for me
decision.
to play with you, I would need to get a PS5 as well, which I'm not going to play
Yeah, because Baldur's
anything
Gate
else. I'm
doesn't
not
have
going to buy
cross-platform.
online. So I'm going to get a PS5. I'm going to get online. I'm going to get a $60 game. And that's just so I can play it with you when you're not busy. And I'm going to pay for online the whole time because who knows when we'll play.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
God,
like,
I hate that.
I'm like,
I had friends like that, right? And
just
I
please,
just,
please get it on
it's-
PC or Mac or whatever.
yeah, I
Just
just
do
got to
that.
the point I'm like, fuck it. If you're only gonna play games on PlayStation, I'm just not playing games with you anymore. That's just it.
The thing is, I just really want to play with her, and she's like, PS5. It's like a threat. It
Yeah.
is.
And maybe if there were more games on the PS5 that I actually want to play, I'd consider it. But like just for one game, it's ridiculous.
I'd sooner get a PS5 dev kit for clout
Yeah.
than get an actual PS5 to play anything on.
Yeah.
I can hit purchase. I have a license to publish games on PlayStation. I could buy that dev kit, but I don't want to spend $2,000, and I also don't want to play anything on PS5.
No, I feel you, man. I do. I do.
But yeah, I'd sooner spend the 2,000 to get a dev kit just for clout than to get an actual PS5 to play literally anything. I'll end up spending $2,000 on the subscription alone, just so that way I could play the game with her for the span of 3 years that it takes.
Yeah. So enough talk about that.
Yeah.
This is my show, Within the Underpass. Right, I'm the metal,
I'm
and
sorry?
today I'm talking to Brandy. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Wait. So you don't need me to record on my end?
No. You don't have to record at all. I'm recording all
Okay.
this. Yeah.
Do you say
Within the underpass.
The underpass?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of underpass? Are we talking like a troll bridge situation?
Oh,
Or are
I'm
we
talking
talking
like
a highway underpass?
like a highway underpass.
So like where hobos live in camp.
Kinda, yeah.
So do you have like a rust bucket? Do you have like an oil barrel that you light bonfires at night?
Sometimes. It's
Are
fun.
there any like creepy old mattresses that you get to share with 5 other dudes?
No, we can't afford a mattress. We have to take like refrigerator boxes and flatten them out like a cot.
You ever take your cocks out and just do like a group jerk off session inside somebody's red Prius?
No.
That's
We
what happened
don't
in the
have that
movie
much
The
luxury.
Underpass.
We have to actually do it in like the crevice of the underpass itself.
That happened to Will Ferrell's car.
Yeah.
And the other guys, which is a fantastic movie. It happened twice. You had to get it cleaned.
Yeah, well,
ever
the
seen
reason
that
I
movie?
call it Within the Underpass is because me and my friends used to hang out in the underpass sometimes
Oh,
when
like
we're walking
psychopaths.
around. Yeah, like psychopaths. And
That's like my friends who used to like walk on train tracks for fun.
yeah,
Goddamn idiots.
I used to do it too. And
Well, the thing is, like, I didn't know how other kids weren't scared to do that because in my town there was a story where a literal kid in our small town was actually run over by a train, and yet that was still a thing that like growing up people did where I lived. How do you not all know about this like little nightmare that flashed into the news? I mean, it's a small town, everybody knows everybody, and it's like, bam, so and so, Mr. Rogers' kid just died. He was on the tracks, his shoe got stuck or laces or something, and he
yeah, I don't
dead.
think that
And
would
we're
have
like,
ever
oh yeah,
stopped
let's
me.
go hang out by walking along the train tracks. It'll be cool. Yeah,
I probably would have just said like skill issue and kept doing it.
skill issue. Nah, you got to respect those train tracks. Never go near them. They're
Yeah.
terrifying. I like trains though.
I love trains.
I've told my
actually,
friends that if I don't really celebrate my birthday, but if
Yeah.
I were to ever have a birthday party, I want my friends to plan it so that way I am on a train and we solve a murder mystery like on the train. Like that would be an acceptable birthday party for me.
I actually had a
So,
friend who was the host
yeah.
for those things down in Florida for a while.
Sick. So like the train was leaving Florida, right? Not the other way around.
No, it would stay in Florida.
Oh,
but
it just
yeah,
circles
yeah.
Florida.
Yeah, well, I think I don't remember
Great, you get
exactly
to
where it
get
is.
swamp ass and stuff.
Yeah, but oh yeah, definitely, because I think it started in like Jacksonville and it would go like around Orlando and come back.
But Sherlock, my pants! It feels as though I were sewn into the seat cushions themselves. Oh, well, Watson, it's quite elementary, actually. You have swamp ass.
I can smell it from here.
I can smell your grundle.
Yeah, so would you like to kind of introduce yourself a little bit? How would
My name's
you
Brandon.
introduce yourself?
My name is Brandon. I make stuff. My name is Brandon. I go by BrandyBuizel online. Just because I like the alliteration. I only really played like 2 or 3 Pokemon games in my entire life. So it is literally just for the alliteration. In fact, I thought it was BrandyBuizel until I was rudely corrected in YouTube comments on my Let's Play channel back in like 2014. And I was like, oh, it's Buizel? Well, it still works. BrandyBuizel still works. And I make animations and games, mostly games. That's what I started doing when I went on Newgrounds. Is I was making games and doing voice work, and then I just only did games, and then I made animations, and now I work on Hell of a Boss as a compositor. That's what I do.
Sounds like a fun time. You know, I actually used to think it was Buizel as well, and I actively played Pokemon games. But a lot of times, if you don't ever hear something said out loud, you're like, "How is this supposed to be pronounced?"
Yeah, you just like imagine it yourself, and once you say it once, it's like that's locked in.
Yeah, and then when you think about it, it's like, oh, it is a weasel, so Buizel makes sense.
See, I always just went, it's an otter.
It looks kind of like an otter.
It really is more an otter, but it is very weaselly as well.
It's just
So
a
the
water
fact that I was
weasel.
like, if you said, "Oh, well, it's because it's a weasel," I'd go, "No, it's an otter." Was it Barzel?
Yeah, yeah. But I guess they already have an otter, right? Because there's like Oshawott. But it's
Yeah,
not like
but he
there's
came
not a
after.
lot
That's
of
like Gen 5.
Pokemon. Yeah, it's not like there's not a lot of Pokemon that are repeats anyway.
Well,
Like
yeah, I mean,
how
I'd
many
say it's
rats
like
do they have?
it's safely in between a weasel and an otter.
Yeah.
None of them are like always straightforward. I mean, there's 12 different dog Pokemon.
Oh yeah, and like Pikachu's got rabbit ears, despite supposed to be like
Oh
a
yeah,
bland all around rodent.
he does rabbit ears.
Yeah. I think he's
It's a
supposed
little
to be a
weird.
rabbit, but everybody calls him rat because he's just electric rodent.
Oh, you want to see the first digital art I ever did on my first pen tablet I got?
Sure.
Because one of them is a Pikachu. I drew two things in Photoshop, not knowing how to use any of the brushes or anything. And it was just a request that like some friend of a friend asked me to do while we were in a Skype call. And so I drew a Pikachu, and I also drew Double D from Ed, and Eddie.
Okay, I can
And
see
I
how
think
these
so
things go together.
here, yeah, yeah. So this is Double D. It's the first thing I ever drew. And then the second thing I drew was this Dizzy Pikachu.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah.
And as far as digital art goes, it's anywhere but up. This is the bottom point. I think
Yeah.
I gotten better, just a little bit.
This is fun, especially because like it's almost got like a semi graffiti look to it with like the colors bleeding
Yeah, it's
through
because
the
that's the
lines.
dodge tool and the burn tool,
Yeah.
which are
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
worst to do for that.
Oh,
Except
I
except
know.
like I was at the point where I didn't realize not everything had to be outlined in black.
Yeah.
Like that's just one of those like things that it feels like a steadfast rule because of coloring books or whatever. And then
Hmm.
eventually when you get told that, you go, it unlocks a portion of your brain and you're like, "Oh yeah, you're right. It doesn't have to be anything." Oh.
Yeah, it could just be whatever looks good.
That's usually when people go into their lineless phase. It's that
Mm,
discovery.
yeah. I kind of like I think I went backwards, but because I just been doing traditional art for so long that if you're taught it in school or by teachers or tutors, they don't want you to draw lines, right? Like a lot of what you're doing are like people studies and like people don't have outlines, so just kind of like blend it in or whatever. And like,
Yeah, it's a
oh,
hard
okay.
thing to get over, especially while sketching.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think like my first digital art was all done in paint. And I don't
MS
even mean
Paint.
that like how everybody used paint. Like I actually tried to use paint to make like anime style pictures, and I was
Did
constantly
you
going
say
back.
anime?
Yeah, 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 the
What
way
are
it's
you
supposed to be
talking
said.
about?
Um,
The way it's supposed to be said.
anime.
Gosh, what are you, freaking Scott Freaks?
I don't even know who that is.
He's the guy from Dragon Ball Z Abridged who always says
Oh, okay.
Goku.
Okay,
It's
okay.
just like Goku,
I knew his
Super
name was Scott. I
Saiyan.
didn't know his last name was Freaks.
Well, it's
Yeah,
like German or something. It's like Freaks. It's got CH, but it's a
yeah,
k
yeah.
sound. I think it's Freaks. FRIE or EICHS. Something like that.
It's either Freaks or Frakes, but I think if
Funny
it's
dude,
Frakes, the
says
E
words
usually
weird.
comes first.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
Especially
yeah, no, but I would go back through and I would try to like I'd have to like redo my outline multiple times because anytime you did like a section of color, you'd be chipping away at your outline. It was really painful, and I had no idea why I spent so much time doing that.
Yeah, that's why I prefer painting just in general. I haven't
Yeah,
painted in a couple of years, but I had so much fun when I was taking it at community college.
yeah, painting is really fun.
I mean, we mostly did acrylics because that was cheap and affordable, but I
Hmm.
always wanted to get into oils or gouache. Just because, like, I
Yeah,
hate watercolor. I can't stand watercolor. Just the fact that I can never go back to white, it infuriates
yeah.
the part of my brain that does all the art.
It's
So,
only ever
yeah,
additive, I
not
guess,
a
is would be
yeah,
the
I'm
word
not
I
a
would use.
watercolor guy.
Yeah,
Especially because like, dealing with water on paper is, like, it's too wet. I tend to rip the paper. I don't know how to use the right amounts. I'm not at a technical level good enough to do watercolor, even though I'm sure that's, like, baby's first painting for some people is they buy the little, watercolor sets where you just all you need is water. It's real cheap and easy. I would just ruin the paper.
Oh,
It'd be
when I
too
was
late.
younger, I would ruin the paper too.
Oh,
Right?
I'm talking as a
Yeah.
full-grown adult. I'll be 20 and ruining the paper, and there'll be
Well,
kids next to me doing better.
I stopped using paper I could ruin. That was the real secret, right? Getting heavier stock, so you'd have to like literally drench this thing in like a gallon of water to be
Yeah,
able
get
to
a
ruin
pat of
it.
Canson.
Yeah.
So yeah, what did you want me to talk to me about today? You
Uh,
walked me in here, you greeted
yeah.
me. I had an appointment, and then you made me wait in the office for like 30 minutes.
Yeah,
So what do you want?
mostly our big key is wasting people's time. So I think we were already somewhat successful at that. We've got a bit longer to go, but maybe talk to you about like some of the things that you actually do. You mentioned some of the projects you were on, but your main thing that you do is compositing, correct?
Yeah, that's what I do for work now, which is really cool because most people don't get to be solidified in a art job and do
Yeah,
art. Like I have a lot of people who came out of so I went to SCAD, and a lot of people who came out of SCAD that are my friends is they'll either end up in an art role or they'll end up in a production role, and then the others will go freelance, aka looking for work.
yeah.
Which isn't to say that like they don't get paid or have jobs. It's just they're always looking for work. So
Oh,
sometimes like it's a good month and sometimes it's not.
I know how
And
it
most of
is.
my friends ended up in the production roles instead of the creative ones because those are harder to broach. So I'm pretty lucky to be in a creative role where I get to satisfy that itch without, having to rely on my spare time and do art outside of my work.
Yeah, like
Compositing is just what I'm good at, though. Like, I love to do all aspects of production. It's been a while since I've made a game, so I might make a game again soon, But compositing is just what I do for money right now.
yeah. What kind of
Yeah.
if you did make a game, what type of game would scratch that itch? Like what direction would you be leaning towards, or would you just kind of like throw spaghetti at the wall until something
Well,
hits you?
I did make a roguelite in 2015.
Hmm.
Um, and it went on Xbox in 2018. It went on Nintendo Switch in 2020. Uh, but I don't want to do roguelite ever again because I don't have fun playing those types of games. I like making short, small experiences that are high impact.
Yeah.
I just like cool game designs or like weird stories. I love mysteries. Sometimes I just like making some weird experimental shit. Like that's when I have the most fun. But yeah, I just would probably never do a roguelike again. Sky's the limit regardless. I'd love to make a 3D game because,
Mm.
I I don't like using Game Maker. We did for my first game, and I always felt like I was the weakest link because it was a language that I didn't understand fully. It was an interface I wasn't accustomed to, and even as I
Yeah.
learned it, I felt like I was the worst at it. I I didn't understand Z depth for the longest time. Just like the layer ordering of
Oh, okay.
objects in the room. Now everything has depth, but you try to make it so that way only specific things have depth that actually matters. Like it's most things you'll slap to a depth of -1 just to say it's behind the player, and you're like, all right, well, what's even the point?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know, and after the updated Game Maker, it got a little bit better with Game Maker 2, but I started learning other stuff like Unity, and now I'm learning Godot because Unity shit the bed. Not
Oh
why I'm
yeah.
learning Godot. I've been learning Godot for a while. I just haven't committed to making a full game or something in it because
And
it's
then
been a while
Unity
since I've
kind
gone to
of
Game Jam.
made that decision for you.
Well, no, I mean I was already done with Unity. It made that decision for my friends, which made me
Yeah.
look smarter for choosing Godot for so long.
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially because like everybody catches up now. You're like, I was already ahead of you, but now you're joining my crowd.
Oh, I'm not ahead. Yeah, because I split myself. I'm a jack of all trades. I'm really good at a lot of things, and I really
Yeah.
suck at most of them. Like, I don't think of myself as a good artist, and I'm not a great animator, but I think I'm an okay artist, and I think I'm a decent animator, and I'm also a good compositor, and I'm an okay voice actor. I do a lot of things, but
Yeah.
like some things I'm really bad at. Like for example, music. I tone deaf. I don't understand it. It's totally beyond me. When I judge things in the audio portal, I'm completely lost. I don't know how to write anything other than I like it or I dislike it, and I can't even tell you why I like it or not. So, I'm so spread in the things that I'm good at that I'm never too amazing at any one thing that I can go as like, I'm better than everyone. I can't sit myself on top of a pedestal and be like, well, I know I'm for sure the best at this.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people. confusingly, because you kept saying it over and over again that that's the way you are, thought otherwise after your recent panel during the Summerfest, where you were complaining about people's ratings in the Newgrounds portal.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like people need to be okay with being a little bit meaner, and they also need to be okay with just rating things lower.
Yeah.
Because the main thing of my blight is, and this is from an artistic perspective, is if I see everything I do gets a 4.7 out of 5, it feels like I'm hurting myself when I don't get like a 4.5 or a 5 rating. Like when people
Oh,
rate me any
same.
lower, I go like, "Oh, what did I do wrong?" And I'm like, my brain shouldn't be programmed like that. I should be able to see a disparity between like my really good stuff and my really bad stuff. And I tend to post most of just my good stuff, or at least I think it's good. And I should see that reflected in the scores. That's the whole thing. It's like I just don't like that the average is 4.7. That's too high. Everything in the art portal just feels the same. And the only way to tell if there's an actual difference is if they get front paged by a human being. But even when that happens, it's, can't expect Tom and the mods to all pick out everything. There's so much art that gets uploaded. How are they supposed to possibly see everything?
Yeah, at that point, it's almost like you're forcing them to favor people that they actually follow, and you're like, that's not fair. That's
Yeah,
not fun.
I try to rate myself honestly too. Is like, I have the benefit of having like 6,000 fans. So
Yeah.
when I post, 6,000 people get notified. So I have the benefit of more people coming to my stuff, and more people tend to rate higher, rate nicer. But, I don't even rate myself that highly. I give myself a lot of threes and a lot of fours. I tend not to give myself twos because I wouldn't upload it if I thought it was a two, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But, like, I don't give myself 5s all the time. I rate my own stuff the way I feel I deserve with maybe, like, a little bit of bias, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I try to do that. I actually had people yelling at me for rating my stuff as threes. They're like,
Yeah,
you should give
I said
yourself a
that too.
five. Like,
Yeah,
why?
it's like, why would I do that? It's like, that's not a 5, look at it.
Yeah.
We just need to be okay with rating lower is the whole point of that talk.
Yeah, well, I feel you because I think probably the most common rating I give out is a 3 or either that or a 2.5. They're pretty close to each other
A
because it's
3
like
should be. Yeah.
most things are average, so they should be close to that halfway point.
Yeah, I mean, just mathematically, they
Yeah.
they should be. Like, because not everything's on the site's amazing, and not everything's trash, and there's a lot of stuff that should be trashed. Like, we have a
Yeah.
blam system. It's like, there's that Foamy the Squirrel that got through recently, and it got through with a 3.8, and it won daily first, and then I just was like, I can't. This
I think
disgusts me. And I was so relieved that
maybe
I didn't, because usually I write a review, and that's what
yeah.
starts an onslaught where people are like, "Oh, it's okay. He said it first, so now it's okay. I can say it." And I'm glad I didn't write a review because other people started saying it, and I was like, "Great. I didn't even have to participate in this one."
It's
And now
not
it's
me
at like
this
a
time.
1.6. Yeah. And now it's at like a 1.6, which in terms of Newgrounds rules, that's when stuff gets deleted if it's below
Yeah, because I think I
1.75.
gave that like a 1.5, so that's pretty close.
Yeah, uh, and that's when it's supposed to get deleted, but it has to be manually deleted once it's already passed through judgment, it looks like.
Yeah.
So it's like that should have been deleted in the first place, but the problem is that person has a lot of fans, and so a
Hmm.
lot of people who are biased towards them just give them a 5, and they're the people who get notified that it exists. I didn't find out the animation even existed until it won daily first, and then when it went into outside of its audience, which is people who will slap the 5s, to people who genuinely just watch more content, broader
Yeah.
content, are not just like diehard fans of Foamy, that's when it got its real rating. Like that's what it really deserves. Like their stuff isn't amazing and it's not always that bad,
No, I
but
think
that
I,
one
on
should have been deleted.
average, I think I'd probably give like foamy stuff like a 2.5. I think that's about
Yeah.
the average. Some
I'm
of the stuff
biased
is
against
actually worth
Foamy.
like a 3,
I'm
but yeah,
totally biased against Foamy. I hate Foamy, but I'll
yeah,
still give it a 2 if it feels like it deserves to be on the site. I've given Foamy as high as a 3, I
yeah.
think, because like the content's not amazing. It's very formulaic and there's
But
so
it's not
much
like
of it. It's basically
absolute trash
spam.
either.
Yeah, but it deserves to be on the site, but this one did not. This one was absolutely a 0 to me. I tried to do a point 0.5, and I was like, but then there's that little bit of a bias against, and I'm like, "No, I gotta go for the full 0.
Yeah,
Get rid of it."
yeah. It's almost it pains you too when you have to do a corrective measure, but like if it deserves to be off anyway, a blam's still a blam at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do
Yeah,
corrective voting, because that's also one of the problems that I was
yeah,
sourcing, is, like, a lot of people feel like their vote won't matter unless they do the extremes, which is just insane because, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If everybody does that, then it becomes true. But then it also makes it harder for the dial to move either way, which is just like a bowl of nuts. It's stupid. It's people going around in circles if you're just like corrective voting.
And if people understood averages, all you need is a higher number because eventually it'll just find where it's supposed to be anyway.
Yeah, like as long as everybody just like starts to vote lower, it'll just eventually settle out. Like you don't have to think too hard about it. You don't have to give it a 0 because you hate it. It's like, all right, whatever. You have something against Sir Palo. I don't give a shit. At least respect Spooky Month is technically really, really good. If you really don't like it, give it a 2. That's saying it still deserves to be on the site because below a 2, you're saying delete. Because that's what your vote actually means. It's like the servers process it and they're like, oh, 1.5, a 1, a 0.5, a 0. These all say that it should be deleted. That's what I'm going to count them towards. So if you don't feel like it should be deleted from the site, give it at least a 2, you know? But if you do really like something and it's total trash, maybe, I don't want to repeat the whole talk.
No. They can watch the panel. They can go to the
into
timestamp. I think you uploaded it on your channel. Like it's easy to find.
For some reason, my quality on the stream was really ass, which I didn't find out till I went to the office and Tom told me he was listening in every once in a while. He was like, yeah, I caught it a couple times. And he was like, but the audio quality is not that good. And when I listened back to the stream, I was like, holy shit, this is bad. And the thing is, because he asked me to, I recorded the panel on my own side, and then I compared the audio. I was like, no, that's crisp and clean. I got to upload this separately. I offered to give it to Kikiro and, Cortad and Annie Sloth, but or Slug, whichever one it is.
You can't dead name Tony.
They were like, no, the streams exist, but you can upload it. I'm like, all right, cool. Upload the high quality version because I wouldn't sit through and listen to that if it sounded that bad.
Yeah, I didn't even know. Because
I guess it was just like coming through Annie Slug's speakers that it was just that bad. Because maybe I feel like on Discord I sound better than that. And if I don't, I apologize for this very specific interview podcast thing. I apologize for the way I sound right now because Metal told me not to record.
Oh no, you sound fine. So because like the way my setup is,
you say that, and then it's gonna be like, oh no,
I do podcasting all the time, right? And so I have with my setup, everything gets fed back through my headphones and stuff. The recording hears whatever I specifically hear. So
you sound crisp. You sound really good. I remember whenever we would play Final Fantasy 14, is in the back of my head I would go, "That's a radio voice," and then you'd be like, "All right, now go over here." I'm like, "What? What? Oh yeah." And you're like, "Did you just accept another quest?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did."
Yeah, and I don't even have the best equipment. It's all just about like having the right like tools and stuff. I have like audio mixers.
Yeah, it's just getting a lot of mileage out of what you have.
Yeah, because I've got a shitty Yeti, right? And the Yeti isn't that good of a microphone, but if you know what you're doing, you can
floating it a little high.
It's actually giving a lot more credit.
I have a Yeti too. Microphone. It's right here. It's a stainless steel toy.
Yeah,
it sucks.
And I need to upgrade to. There's a few things I wanna. There's a very specific model of a Shure XLR mic, the higher end ones that I want.
Oh, like the 57B or whatever. Yeah, that's a good radio one. I see that used a lot of the time, but it kind of sucks when I see. So like one of the first things I did on Newgrounds is because I was getting into voice acting. People would see me in the forums, and I would constantly be ranting and telling people about what mics to buy.
Yeah.
And I would be like, just listen, if you want to get into voice acting, literally at all, even as a hobby, just think about it this way: how much do you spend on your other hobbies? Don't get an XLR mic. I can get you a build for $100 or less to use XLR instead of USB. If I said don't get an XLR, change that because I meant USB and I flubbed.
Yeah.
I don't want to look stupid. And so I was like, I can get you a setup for under $100, and then you can always upgrade it. You can upgrade it, and the mic will sound even better with new tools. And then once the new tools outmatch the mic, then you can get a better mic. It's just
absolutely.
Don't do a USB, and please don't do the Yeti. It is the worst of all the worlds. It has a terrible form factor. It sounds like shit. The stand sucks, and the placement of the USB and the type of USB micro is slated to fall out. After a year, it's hard to even keep it in. You have to use like a rubber band or some other matrix to make sure it stays plugged in.
Reset as well because of how loose it gets.
Yeah, and it's just like it has ruined so many recordings where I was doing Let's Plays in high school with my friends, and it's like we would constantly be looking at the monitor and like, audio's gone.
Yeah.
It stopped. All right, wait, hold on, pause everything. And we'd be lucky if we caught it in the rear view of our monitor. And we just seen
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, audio. Good. All right, we can fix this. But the fact that it happened constantly, that we always had to be prepared for it, just speaks to the shittiness of the design. It's just not a good mic.
Yeah, so like my excuse is I often don't buy my own equipment. People like to gift me stuff, right? Because it makes it feel like
Yeah,
they're
you want to
supporting the
use
work,
it.
and I'm not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth, you know. Like I can make a Yeti work. One of the biggest problems with the Yeti is not just the horrible design of it, right? Is also on the like firmware software end. They have the gain, like the digital gain inside of it completely uncapped. So it's like all the way up to 100, and you have to like go in to the additional software that doesn't even come with it. Like you have to download the software off their site and turn the gain all the way down to 50 before you even start getting in reasonable territory. It's like that physical gain on the back doesn't even matter until you get to that point. I
Yeah,
don't know
I
what
mean,
Blue's doing.
let me check mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gain knob, I just checked. I haven't used this thing in years. It's turned absolutely all the way down,
Same.
100%. It's set to cardioid and it's turned all the way down. Uh, it's the worst too. I hate its polar pattern. It's the only good polar pattern that it has, other than cardioid standard.
Yeah.
I don't even give a shit about the Omni. We used that sometimes when I was doing Let's Plays because there were just so many of us on the couch and one mic at the time. But shitty. I do like that it had the interviewer setup where
Yeah.
it's the you know I don't know the word, dichotomy maybe. They're polar opposites. They're just complete.
Yeah.
One you look across against your interviewer and you're both in perfect sync. That's all it is.
Yeah, they're
That's a
reverse
cool
facing
setting.
from each
I
other.
never see that with mics. That's a good one. But
I
that's
used to
the only
do
good thing to
that
say.
when my brother and I were podcasting together with other people. We were in the same room, so I would just
Mhm.
put like the Yeti between us with that on. Obviously one facing me, so that he would get the other end, and
Yeah.
then both people could hear us clearly.
Which is just like that works. Then that's great if you have one mic. But the moment you have two mics, it's like, all right, let's get that Yeti out of
Useless.
here. Let's get it out. It's worth it.
Plus, once you get to 2 mics, it's like, yeah, you can do stuff like that USB. At that point, you're better off just having a cheap mixer with like XLR mics, because then you
Yeah,
can
then you
control
might as well
everything
get
better.
colored XLR cables.
Yeah.
I never got to use those much. But once we got into like multiple mics when I was doing Let's Plays, I always had an orange and a purple one.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, I get to be purple. You get to be orange. Cool colors only. No greens. No
Yeah,
reds.
it's like when your friends come over to play like GameCube or whatever, and it's like, well, no, the purple controller's mine.
Oh
He
yeah.
can have the orange controller. You're stuck with the green. I don't even. Grandma bought the green. We didn't want it. You have to have the green.
The silver is melted because I have slightly acidic skin. I'm one of those
Mm-hmm.
freaks. But
Purple's
the
the
purple's
backup controller.
pristine.
Yeah.
Purple's pristine, and the black was for my brother. I never used the
Mm.
black controller. I love that the GameCube always had the iconic four, though. I never owned an orange. I had a knockoff orange that had like a turbo button, and it sucked.
Same. So
Like
I
you rarely have
had.
four players.
I think I had the Mad Catz. I think it was called the Micro or something like that, right?
I don't even know.
And
I sold that controller, man. Like it was so bad, and
I
it's the
used it for
only video
years.
game thing I've actually sold. I don't sell games ever or consoles. Like I have everything, and it's all
Yeah.
cataloged. It's the only peripheral I've ever sold.
I liked my Micro. But it's probably because I have smaller hands than average, I think. So it was pretty good for me. I used that thing until it broke in like 2014.
Yeah, I mean it was light, but and it was durable, but I hated it. I wanted to smash it, but that felt like a waste. I sold it for $5, I think.
I don't know. I think
GameStop wouldn't even take it.
I probably would have got more than $5 worth of enjoyment smashing it than selling it.
Yeah, I guess, but you don't want to explain to your mom why there's plastic shards you didn't bother to clean.
Yeah, yeah. But no, I definitely agree when it comes to the microphones. It's like it it's not that expensive if you're actually trying to get to it from a hobbyist. And if you don't know yet, right? Honestly, most people's phones are a better microphone than a Yeti.
Yeah, I mean, like even if you just want to feel it out, you should just know is like when you buy a USB mic, you're already capped. You're capped
Yeah.
at quality. It's like there's nowhere to go but up. But if you want to go up, you have to rebuy everything. So you might as well just try out XLR.
Yeah, or before that, like if you're just trying to make your first dip, let's say there's a project on Newgrounds, low end project, right? It's not super pristine. You're dipping your toes in, and you want something that feels like a microphone. I've got this gooseneck mount for like phones that I use to like hold my camera when I'm doing like drawing streams and stuff. You could, if you have like an iPhone or something, you have a better microphone than a Yeti right there in your phone. You could just record it on that, and you could use this mount
Sure.
to feel like a mic stand. I spent like $10 on this mount, and anybody could do that. That's very low investment.
I've had this phone for quite a few years, and I got it because it had specific features I like. It has
Mm-hmm.
a 3.5 millimeter jack. It has a log recording camera, so it records wide angle and
Oh, nice.
and whatever standard is. It records them in log format, so it's 10-bit color instead of 8.
Mm-hmm.
So you get, it's not raw, but it's in between raw and sRGB. And it also has polar mics. It has mics at the top and the bottom, so you can get uh, stereo recording of audio.
Nice.
And sometimes, if I needed additional audio or like backup, I would place this in the middle of a table, and I would just record on my phone as well. So if the audio ever hiccuped on like a podcast or a skit or whatever I was recording at the time, that would be my backup, and it always came in handy. It wasn't the best quality, but it was like, it was in the point where it was like, it was small enough, it was concealed enough, and it was good enough quality to go, I don't need a different microphone here. A Yeti's not going to do this shit. It's too conspicuous, and it's also clunky, and it has ugly sound.
Yeah.
This works. I was like, this is acceptable. So yeah, recording with your phone sometimes is better.
Especially when the phones are these. I think people still have it in their head that, especially if you're older, right? Like, we probably used phones that were like the flip phones, right? Like I remember my first phone was one of the, basically they'd be considered a burner phone these days. And in my head, I still think that this burner phone I had back in 2008 is the quality of microphones on phones. And I have to like constantly remind myself, it's like, no, that my phone actually probably has a better mic than the one I'm talking into.
Yeah, probably. My first phone was a Pantech Jest.
Oh,
And then I was thrown in the pool. We have a pool in my backyard in my parents' home. I was thrown in the pool by my dad, and I was so mad because my Pantech Jest was in my pocket at the time, and I was thrown against my will. And so when I came out, I was like, Andrew, ruined my phone. My phone is broken. My first phone ever. It's gone. You destroyed it. All of my stuff on there is erased. And you know what? They didn't even replace my phone. My dad,
wow.
my mom, no, they gave me like an old flip phone. I was like, you goddamn son of a cunt. You destroyed my Pantech Jest. This was a beautiful, if it like slides open, has a big screen, it had a BlackBerry keyboard. I loved it. I was like,
I miss
like,
keyboards.
if I couldn't have a touchscreen phone, I was like, that's the phone that's for me. And I never got a replacement. I just had to get this old flip phone, and then eventually I got upgraded to a slide phone, which is just as bad. And I was like, son of a bitch, Pantech Jest. I want my Pantech Jest. And eventually I upgraded to a smartphone in like 2014. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's about the same time I got my first smartphone. I was very, actually like abrasive towards like getting a touchscreen phone, smartphone, or anything.
Really?
I
You were
like
just too into
buttons.
tactile?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that tactile feel. Like it just doesn't feel the same typing with my thumbs on a screen.
Yeah, I will say I didn't understand how typing on screens worked. I was like, but it doesn't feel like anything. And I realized there's like these micro vibrations. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, this is acceptable. I get this. I can use it. But before that, I was like, how do you even tell that anything's working? Oh, there's sounds and vibrations to back you up. Okay, that works.
Well, I had to actually, because I usually have the volume off on my phone. I had to turn the volume on my first one because it didn't have any vibrations. It was a
Mm.
very cheap phone, and it was bothering me. I needed some type of input, so I had to like turn the volume up just so I could hear the like doot 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 doot. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about phones anymore. Phones are
I don't
dumb.
either. Let's talk about things you've worked on. Specifically, probably I guess it's recent enough. Lucky Boy is probably my
Oh,
favorite
I'm
thing
sorry, I got excited.
that that you've probably worked on. Would you like to talk about Lucky Boy for a bit?
I mean, sure. I talk about Lucky Boy almost all the time, and I'm glad
Yeah.
that people like it. I'm a little sad that it doesn't have more reach.
Mm,
You know,
hmm.
because like you go, wow, 100,000 views on Newgrounds. That's a lot of people. But then you put it into context of what else got 100,000 views, and then you remember that's on YouTube and that only has 30,000 views, and
Yeah.
the metrics can go way higher. Like I have friends whose student films have a couple million. I'm just like, I'm really proud of it. I worked really hard on it. You know, we all did. Me and Dom especially, and Malcolm. But, you know, I wish more people saw it because that's really the end goal. It was
Yeah.
super satisfying when it was played in a theater, with the rest of the student films from our year. Uh, our school didn't do this. Dom and, a couple other directors, they decided to put out money to a theater, rent it out, and play a bunch of student films there at the end of our semester. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And having a live reaction was really cool. But then there's also the online reaction, which is a little bit less valuable depending on the scale, but it's something that you also desire. It's like you want it to be a hit because you want more and more people to see it. You don't necessarily want everybody to love it to death. You don't want it to be like the next Undertale or
Yeah.
whatever. You just want like enough people to see it to go, yeah, they watched the thing I made. It doesn't even matter if they liked it or not. It's been seen, you know,
Hmm.
and then it speaks for itself whether or not they like it. That's on the content. But just getting that reach is hard. So whenever I talk about Lucky Boy, I'm like, I love that people like it. I just wish more people saw it because
Yeah.
I like it a whole lot. It was fun to work on. It was stressful at times, but it was 18 months of my life. How can I not want it to be seen? You know,
Yeah, and
imagine
like
like working on something for 18 months and then going, no, no one shall ever see this. And you start storing it away like in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Nobody does that. Nobody hides away 18 months.
yeah, and I could tell how much work you put in because you've showed me a lot of the behind the scenes stuff since then, and I've been in calls with you while you're even still working on certain parts, and even just seeing like a very very small amount, I'm like, man, that I could tell how much of your life that you put into it during the time that you were working.
Yeah, and I have such an intricate knowledge because I was the only editor slash compositor for the entire film, and it's heavily composited, this whole film.
Yeah,
Like, all of the looks are like, we worked on the looks throughout the beginning, and, like, from the storyboard phase, we were like, we made these little mock-ups and color coded them with this element is live action, this element is stop motion, this element is 3D, this is 2D, this is 2D effects, this is what we coded everything. And for all the shots, we always were thinking about what it was. And so me and Dom were always like in each other's brains, kind of like going through the drift in Pacific Rim together. And we'd go
yeah,
like, oh, the shot needs to look like this, and we'd mold it together in our brains. And then I had to actually execute. Once I had all the pieces, I had to execute it in After Effects because I was the only one touching that file. And so I had to do that with every single shot in the film. And I could tell you, like every little asset, I could point to it and be like, I know exactly who made this, who worked on it, when it was done, what version this is, and how I composited it to work in this shot. I could tell you anything about every single piece in every shot. Like my knowledge is insanely intricate. It's like somebody who's a deep anime fan and they run the wiki. You know,
yeah, yeah.
is like I think there's some shows where people work on that even they don't know as much as their fans. But Lucky Boy, I swear there's nobody who could if they were a huge fan of Lucky Boy, they'd still have no chance against me in like little trivia about each
Oh,
pixel in
because
the
there's
frame.
things you know that literally nobody else knows.
Yeah, and probably things that would never be asked, and I'd be like, "And that's why that exists." And you'd be
Yeah,
like, "Wow, you went to Mount Everest and you spat inside of a tour guide's mouth, and that's how you got the shot of sweat off Lucky?" And I'll be like, "Yep,
yeah. The
yep, that's
tour
what
guide
that
was
beat is right there, 2 frames."
completely unnecessary, but you know, it made the shot more realistic.
Yes, it's all about authenticity.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I like about it. Like, it tells a nice little story too. Like, the story's good, which you'd want in like any film period, whether it's a
Yeah, I
short
think
film or
the
longer.
story is serviceable. Like, it
But
services
like
the plot for 10 minutes.
the it is really just composite media. I think is the best way because it's not just an animation. It's a little more than that with all the things you put into it. There's live action bits, and I think calling it a composite media film is
Yeah,
probably
we
the
usually
best
say
thing.
mixed media because
Mixed
that
media
flows
too.
better.
Yeah,
And
it
still,
does.
every time somebody hears the job compositor or compositing is
Yeah.
a gotcha, you stupid mosquito. Is sorry.
No, it's perfect.
Sorry, I just got the cunt. He was in the air. You know, we call it mixed media just because when people hear compositing or composite, is they tend to think compost. I find that really funny. I can just tell
Yeah.
people, you know, I work as a composter on Helva. Yeah, I compost. Is because that's what they hear and they think because that's a word they're familiar with. Hell, Google Docs, when you type out compositing or compositor, it thinks you're typing a wrong word I'm like, no,
Mm.
it exists. It's in the dictionary. You can find it, but Google Docs says no. I think you mean composting.
It's because nobody uses the word, and their
Yeah.
AI is
The
like,
only
no, you
time you
mean
type
this
it out,
word. Yeah.
the only time you type it out is in the credits of something.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're not doing that on Google Docs, usually.
See, every time I think of the word composite, I think of composite Santa Claus from Robot Chicken from the Dragon Ball Z bit
Mm.
where Goku saved Christmas. But I also, when you've worked in different technical fields, things like that are you're more akin to it, right? As opposed to like the average person has absolutely no idea what that
Yeah,
is
like, I mean,
altogether.
I don't know shit about half the medications I take.
Yeah.
And, I should say all the medications I take. I take, like, 2, you know? I take 1 for my OCD and 1 for my ADHD.
Hmm.
I have no idea what's in them. I couldn't even pronounce the words that they are, and I'm sure somebody knows exactly the roots and origins of each and can tell what's in the chemical makeup based on the name or something. That's me for animation. I can't do
Yeah.
that for pharmaceuticals, though. Everybody's an expert. Like, if you spend years on something, of course, there's, like, intricate knowledge that you just inherently learn. Like, that goes without saying. It goes without saying, so now you have to delete that previous part and unsay it.
No, 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 no. It's staying.
I meant the part that you said.
No, no, all of it's staying.
Okay.
Every sweat bead that gets captured by the microphone just glistening off your skin. I don't know how it's capturing sweat beads. I don't think mine actually make loud enough, but it is.
Yeah, I think when we made the sweat beads in Lucky Boy was one of the most fun shooting days. Because Dom didn't know how we were gonna do the effect, and I was like, "We're gonna animate museum gel on a
Oh.
wire," and he was like, I don't understand what that is." And I was like, "It's gonna be so fun," because like he was complaining a lot because when we had to do stop motion at his house, we refused a space to use, so we had to use his apartment, and it was kind of a burden. And he was just kind of like, "Can we just get this done already?" And he was confused why we were doing stop motion when we
Mm-hmm.
could just be recording videos, but videos would have a shutter rate, and the things would be super blurry, and it'd be lower resolution. I wanted to do stop motion so we could act it out and get like crispy shots for like all the close up stuff. We wanted the stocks to look really good, look really real, and we wanted the motions to kind of like have the cartoony puppetness, but also like stepped frames sometimes. Like sometimes we want it really smooth and sometimes we don't, depending on the joke or the scene or the intent. And so he was just like, "Oh, stop motion sucks." It's like, and we had to hold our arms up forever, and it took so long to act out instead of going ba 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 ba, just acting out the line and recording it.
Yeah.
uh we did that sometimes with like 60 or 120 fps, depending on the shot. But instead of doing that, you'd have to spend like literally 15 minutes doing that 2-second line, and it would be like, "Oh, my arm hurts." We had to get a rest for arms and stuff, and it was just like a whole slog. And then the day when we were doing all the teardrops, it was at the end of the day, and I was like, "All right, Dom, you're gonna love this." It's like, "I don't want to do any of this. Can you just like hurry it up, and then we'll be done?" And I was like, "I'm gonna do one," and it's blah, 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 and I did it. And he was looking at the dragon frame window, and as I went frame to frame, and we took, all right, I was like, "Capture, all right, Dave, capture, David, capture, all right, good, hold up, make sure it's in focus, all right, Dave, capture." And he's like, as he saw, and we played it back, he was like, "Oh, that looks really fun." I was like, "All right, you want to do one? You want to do one?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, all right. So you could just decide however you want to go. I was like, bend the wire however you want. All you have to do is animate this little drop up bead, just squish and change its shape, and then move it along the wire. And then I'm going to cut the wire out later. And he was like, "I love this." It was some of the most fun he had working on the film. And I was like, all right, that's awesome. And that's all the sweat beads that come off Lucky when he's nervous or when he's crying. Crying was me animating it. I was animating the gel as it comes off the Lucky sock puppet
Yeah.
while David was performing the stop motion. And so Dave would have to like think about the performance, continuous performance frame to frame, and then after he continues his performance by like going one frame forward, he would then have to stop and hold still so I could animate the gel on top of Lucky because he's crying. And then when I was done, then I'd duck out, we take a picture, and then I'd go back in and he'd move that one frame, and then I'd animate the gel again. He was like, "Oh my," he was in so much pain. It took us 45 minutes to record the Lucky crying sequence,
Yeah.
which is just like 2 shots where he's crying. And one we decided to do digital because we thought it'd be funnier, and also it was really tiring. And after that 45 minutes, we were like, "All right, that was really good. Do we want to do like a safety and do it again?" And Dom was like, "Dude, no. Look at David." And I was like, "All right, you're right. This looks good enough. All right, we're not gonna do this again." And David was like, "No, I could do it." And we're like, "It's fine. We got it. We got it. We're good." It's like, we're not going to sit around for 45 more minutes while you have to hold up your arm the whole time, keep steady while I animate dumbass teardrops.
Yeah. Well, that's the life of a puppeteer.
Yeah, stop motion's fun. I got my boyfriend Nendroid. I
Yeah.
got it in the mail the other day, and I was just thinking, man, I really want to do some stop motion with this, but I don't have a table space or a DSLR. I'll have to think of something when I move into a new place. I'll think about getting a DSLR and maybe animate something with that. I
Yeah,
just
you
love
did
stop motion.
pretty good stop motion work. I can't remember the name of the little puppet you used for the bumpers, but the one that was like stuck at your parents' house for a while.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was stuck at my girlfriend's parents'
Oh, it was your
house.
girlfriend's place. That was it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was like across the country too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my puppet Yanny. He's a crow.
Yanny, that was it. Yeah.
He's in a prison jumper. He's on the highway picking up trash. And I actually have stickers of him that I've been handing out recently, ever since the Toronto meetup. I
Oh,
have
that's
these
cool.
cute little stickers of him. People seem to like him a lot because he's just like the basic crow design. He's cute. He has big ol' eyes,
It's very solid
and
design.
yeah, he's really tall. He's got like a very gumball-esque body shape. He has like long stick legs, stick arms, and then just a lump of a body. I like him a lot. He's a decommissioned puppy. He's on my desk right now, and I'm looking at him. But he's decommissioned in the sense that like any more wear and tear or use would break down the puppet. His parts, his silicone, his outfit is haphazardly sewn because I
Yeah.
didn't know how to make clothes that small. But yeah, so he's decommissioned. He doesn't act
He gets
anymore, but
to
he's fun to like
enjoy
pose
retirement.
around. Yeah, exactly. I need to make new puppets though. I have his mold, and I've thought about making another one. I just need the space to pour foam. This one's made out of silicon, but foam is a lot cheaper. The
Yeah.
school, when I was at SCAD, they paid for enough silicon for me so I could do that puppet, and it was like no mistakes because they're only paying for it once.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I have to pay on my own, I'm going to use foam. It's a lot cheaper.
Yeah. The joy of being a student.
Yeah, I mean, like they might as well pay for it. It's in my tuition.
Yeah.
What else is that going to? Yeah, use it for my gross black slime.
It's going towards repairs on the dean's yacht.
Yeah, it's just like I just had this quart of liquid Yanny, and I put a glove over it, and that's how you seal it. It's just you need an airtight seal. It's like liquid Yanny. Here we go. Store it in
Mm-hmm.
the fridge.
Yeah, so if you did do like you'd make another Yanny, but do you have any ideas for like a project, or you usually just play things by ear, right? Just wing it.
I just like sit down and like I try not to force myself to think. Most of my ideas come in the shower.
Oh yeah, those are some
Yes,
of the best
who
ideas.
doesn't? That's classic. But yeah, I just wouldn't overthink it. I do whatever feels fun.
Yeah.
I never got to do enough stop motion. Like when COVID happened, I was in my stop mo class, and then they were telling us that everything was getting shut down for the next semester. I didn't know what was going on, but I was enlisted in stop motion too, and I was supposed to make a short film, and that whole production was a mess, and we didn't get any animation done throughout its production, and I was so sad. So nothing of it ever came out. It was this like cute little short about a bear waiting for the bus,
Oh
and I
yeah.
never got to hold like the hero model, like the final model with like stitch felt fur and stuff. I never got it. I got this crummy, barely articulating, uh, rigid bullshit bear to work with for like 9 weeks, and then when they were gonna give me the puppet, it was like the last day of the semester, and they were like, I only have enough time to shoot it before like 8 a.m. when I got to move out of my dorm because I made a makeshift stop mo room in my dorm because all the buildings were shut down. I was like, I had this up the entire semester. I was working on the lighting and everything. And then I was like, all right, if you get the puppet to me tonight, I can animate until 8 a.m. when I have to move out. And then we can finish. We'll have one pass of the film. And as soon as they got there, they were like, hey, yeah, we're going to take down the set. And I was like, what do you mean? And I was like, yeah, we're not even going to bother animating. It's like, that's why I've been waiting. That's why I took this class this whole semester. It's been building. I did so many tests. I did 2D. I did lighting. I'm so ready for this. I rigged a bus to have lighting remotely. It's not plugged into anything. It operates on batteries. I learned how to wire, and they're like, "Yep, we're taking down the set." It's like, but 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 I never got a chance to animate. I never even got to hold the hero puppet. And I was just like, I don't own my own DSLR, so that was also like the last time I got to do like proper stop motion in Dragon Frame until Lucky Boy happened. And then I just straight up bought Dragon Frame because I didn't want to steal with the school's bullshit. And then we shot it in Dom's apartment. We still didn't have a studio space. I
Yeah,
just miss
that's a
stop
big
mo.
problem.
It's so fun.
Because if you want to do
It's
stop mode, you need like you have to create basically a sound stage, right? Like you need a big table that you can
Well,
do
to
it
a degree,
on,
you
and
don't. Like, stop mo
yeah,
is the most accessible, but also the
yeah,
highest end of animation, where it's the easiest thing to get into, and that's why I love seeing stop motion on Newgrounds and stop mo tests. Like, even just with Legos, it's
yeah,
like any
yeah.
some of my first animations were on this MP3 that had a camera function, and I used that, and I just, like, set it up so it balanced on a desk, and I'd hit shoot, and I'd move stuff and hit shoot, and I tried not to nudge it too much. It's the easiest thing to get into, but it also has the highest tier of quality of, like, to ascend to,
Yeah,
where it's
it's
like Leica, they have, like, the most amazing rigs and shit and control over every little thing and beautiful puppets, and it's like, it has the furthest to go from nothing. You can do it at the highest level, and you can do it at the lowest level.
we got the gaming words, right? It's got a very low skill floor for entry, but it's
Yeah,
got a
yeah, and a
really
high
high
skill
skill
ceiling.
ceiling. Yeah.
It's exactly that for animation, is the most
Yeah.
broad, has the most dynamism.
What was I getting at is like once you get used to the higher end, it's like you really don't want to go back to the low end. Because like I
Yeah,
used to
exactly.
shoot stop motion like claymation stuff back in high school, right? And I got to use the school's DSLR and like, okay, that's fun, but I had to do everything like on desks and
Wow,
I didn't
in
have
my
total
school, they
lighting
just said, "Use your
control.
phone."
Yeah.
In my high
But
school, they were just like, "Use your phone." I was like, "But the phone always moves."
yeah.
They're like, "Yep."
And like, well, even my equipment, aside from the camera being very like pricey, the I had to use like the lighting of the room, so I had no lighting control. I had to use Windows Movie Maker to just do things frame by frame, like put in the images. And if I wanted to edit something, Paint was my only option. So it's like, yeah, you could jump in and start something, but if you get used to the higher stuff, it's like I don't want to go back to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like exactly. It's like working on a Cintiq. Eventually, you're just like, "I don't wanna work on a normal tablet."
Yeah,
I don't wanna work with not drag and frame. Here's a little, snippet from, like, an animation test from, that short film that never came out. I'm sending to
yeah.
you. This is just an animation of the bus, like, rolling away, and then the shitty puppet that barely is able to move. He was so stiff, I had to literally force his limbs every time, and that's not how puppets are supposed to be built.
Yeah.
You can include this GIF in the post if you want. Um,
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
but
We
yeah,
dropped that in the
it
bottom.
never came out. I rigged that bus so that way it's lit on the interior, so it would have an effect on the environment. Um, I was using, like, fairy lights and a battery pack, that I just, like, I cut into, and I was like, "Alright, rig it like this because it didn't have USB or whatever. But yeah,
That's a
poor
cool.
little film, never came out.
I like the set.
Yeah, it was the only thing I could work on while I was waiting for the puppet, because like, this puppet sucked. I couldn't use that one. I needed the hero puppet. The hero is what you call, like, the final model,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
one
I
that's
like how
ready for camera.
one of the log stools is like changed out like 2/3 into the shot.
Oh, yeah, it's because that was just a that was just a set design change that happened halfway, and I
Yeah,
didn't, refresh Dragon Frame because it's like you'll leave the puppet standing there, and
yeah.
because the room is yeah, I used blackout curtains so no light could get in. This was probably shot within, like, 2 different days,
Hmm.
you know? And so,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
literally, I came back and was like, "Oh, okay, we had some notes," and I swapped that in, and that was just like, yeah, it looks like it happens instantaneously, but that's just a decision that was made after a call, and
yeah,
then the next day I changed it, but it's in this animation. But yeah, the set looks good because it was the only thing I got to work on. The set was done by my friend, 2 of my friends, and it was really cool. It was fun to work with them, and I did all the lighting, and I thought, like, the lighting looked great. I had different lighting for different times of day because there's supposed to be a day change at one point. Like,
yeah,
the bear sits down and, time is supposed to pass, so I was like, "Oh, well, I'll do something really cool. I'll animate the progression of the day passing." And so I did that by changing the lights in the set, and so I had lights to turn on, turn off, and I had nothing official to work with. I had, like, fairy lights and bar signs, like blue neon bar signs,
hmm,
and I just had to, like, mix what I could, and I had a like, I think a pretty satisfying result for the time change, you know? I I felt like, "Hey, that's pretty impressive. This works for the film." I was so proud of it. I was so ready to animate this. That's why it's like, COVID ruined so much, man. It ruined so much.
yeah, yeah. I like it. I think the little short bit came out great. Also, talking about noises that aren't being removed. This is actually one reason why I tell the other person not to record on their end, if I have your recording, then I feel obligated that I have to splice in the better sounds, right?
Oh,
Uh,
gotcha. But you
whereas,
were layered on the same something,
yeah.
same
So
track.
then, yeah. So then I don't feel obligated to do that anymore. It's just
Yeah,
making
gotcha.
the work easier for me. So I intentionally turned off streamer mode on Discord. So every time you sent me a message, I think it's actually fun for the audience. They know that you're sending me an image because they're going to hear
Hmm.
the Discord little badoop pop up.
You can
They don't.
timestamp the images.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait for you to show them my Dizzy Pikachu art. I'm sure
Oh
they
yeah, I'm gonna
love
put those
that.
in there
Yeah.
since I
I,
let
I'm
us put up
I'm
to
all
10
about
images.
I never posted on Newgrounds because I didn't use Newgrounds back in 2011.
Yeah.
But I'm all about keeping my old shit on Newgrounds because it's nice to see yourself improve, and see where you were.
Mm-hmm.
I used to shit on Ivan Almighty a lot. Like I used to joke with him about one of his old posts where he did a fan art of Luigi that looks terrible and his eye is super big for no reason. And I always thought it was like the funniest thing ever. But he eventually deleted it because I kept teasing him. But I was like, no, you're such a good artist now that when you look at it, it's just like it gives me hope. I see it and I look amazed. I'm like, holy shit, Ivan, you're such an impressive animator now. You're pulling off this weird fisheye shit in an actual like opening to a Cartoon Network show. If you've never seen Summer Island, the opening, he worked on the opening shot.
I
It's
did not know
so
that.
it's so meticulous and beautiful. He showed me the flash file where it's like this this like cubic sphere of grid lines that he used to like figure out the proportions because it's all frame by frame. The whole thing. None of it's like warped or digital. It's all drawn that way. And it's
Yeah.
so freaking impressive to see him where he came from just like 5 years prior. And so that's why I never delete anything because I like to see where I came from, what I was bad at, and what I can do better. That's part of the reason I'm so anal about the review scores. Is I don't want to see something I got 6 years ago that I go, this is objectively pretty bad, and see it get like a 4. And meanwhile, my new
Yeah.
stuff gets a 4. It's like, all right, well,
Well, like I
thanks.
even agree with
I feel
something
like
you
I'm going
brought up
nowhere.
that Tom said, like when you were able to finally change reviews, to be able to just like go back and re-review things, like update it.
Yeah, he said in that post, he was like, maybe we should go back and reassess and be like, maybe these aren't as good now that we think about it. Like maybe we should rate these a little bit lower because what happened is like a lot of really old cartoons had really really high ratings and they
Yeah.
were all kind of in the top 50. He was like, but maybe like Eddsworld Spares does it. Is it? I mean, there's better Elseworlds than it. You know, seems weird that it's higher than those.
Yeah, and I do think to some degree we have to consider the time, but if it's not like equipment progression is the
Well,
real
it's like
difference.
tools are more
If
accessible now, but it
yeah,
doesn't mean we're better artists now by default.
yeah. So like if the art was good for the tools at the time, it should probably remain the score. But if it was like say the person's aptitude had improved
Yeah.
over time, then it's like it's fine to give them a lower score when their aptitude was lower.
It's almost an insult to give Spares a 5 and then give
Yeah.
Hammer and Fell a 4.
Yeah.
I'd just be like, all right, well, I guess I quit now because I've peaked.
Yeah.
It's over.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, I'm not upset that people like tend to rate thirst traps high. I'm upset that those thirst traps don't get deleted when they deserve it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they're just like really shitty and they're barely more than an image. I'm like, come on,
Yeah,
guys.
it's like 3 or
It's like
4
we
frames
we
of
blam
boobs
bad
jiggling.
games. Why are we okay with blamming bad games, but we can't do that to movies? Like, not every movie has the right to be on this site. Like, that's the whole point of judgment. Is
Oh
just
yeah.
is it worth the server space?
And if it's just like a very short loop, right? Especially like a thirst trap, why not just? I get sometimes people want the music, but
Sometimes
why
it
not
yeah,
just
it
upload it as a
sound
GIF?
yeah,
Just make it a
I
GIF.
know.
I don't
I mean,
know.
like, hell, I ran 2 different jams where I was like, make these short loops, and one of them was for the movie portal. And you could see like incredibly intense work for 6
Yeah.
seconds. It's like you can make a short loop. I'm totally cool with short loops, but they have to do something. They have to be worth like the shorter they are, the more they need to earn
Yeah.
my respect, and the longer they are too. Like for example, the live action jam, we got a submission that was 30 minutes long, and you're like, "Whoa, that's a lot." And you must be like, "Oh, well, that's so much work put into it." Yeah. But it really needs to earn that 30 minutes because
Yeah.
it like you can't expect me to sit down and watch that with the same level of enthusiasm I do like a 2-minute short. It needs to earn its place taking up 30 minutes of my time. So the longer it is and the shorter it is, it kind of needs to justify itself.
Oh,
That's how I feel about like submissions on the site. So small loops are okay. And hell, for the second jam I did with small loops, I encouraged people to use WebP and do it on the art portal instead because I
yeah,
felt bad I was clogging the movie portal last time.
yeah, yeah. The with the small loops, the dance jam though, that was a really good one.
Yeah, I always get the note though that people are sick of the song, and I'm happy to say I'm not. I've probably
I'm not
listened to it
either.
more than anybody else, but I still
But yeah,
like the
I
song.
definitely have not listened to it as much as you have.
Well,
I
yeah, because
listened to
I
it a lot more than I wanted to, being in calls with people who are working on it and
oh
having
yeah,
like their stream opened.
I don't know
So
why they wouldn't. That's insane.
I don't know.
I would preview it maybe once every 10 times. But the thing is, like, before I even hosted that jam, is I listened to that song. It was the only thing I let myself listen to while I was working for like 2 straight days and while I was making my animation,
Yeah,
the day after that. I was like, as long as I don't get sick of it, I can use this song. Because the whole inspiration for the jam was another song that I love that it had a 4-second loop, and I would listen to that for like 3 days straight while I was working on school stuff. And my girlfriend and my roommate, they all thought I was crazy. I was like, I'm still into it, you know?
yeah.
It was from a video from Small Butera. Uh, shit, what was it called? It was something like Color Warriors Go or something. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't think I'm familiar.
Just give me a sec. I'm gonna look this up real
Hmm.
quick. Small Butera. It's
Yeah,
just
well,
like the shortest loop ever, but I loved it so much. It's called Super Go.
Super Go.
Here you go. Here's a link. It's
Alright.
such a short loop. It plays out for a minute. I looped this video. I listened to it for literal days on repeat without headphones on or with headphones on. I did a little bit of both and I didn't get sick of it. And that's what inspired the jam. I was like, I want somebody to like make a loop like this. That's what I want to see on Newgrounds.
Hmm.
So I made a jam based around the idea of making a looping dance animation. And I was like, I need a soundbite that works though. Couldn't use this because it's from a band that I don't know or have
Yeah.
ability to contact, like Volpec. Um, so I was like, I need a song, and then I asked Milky Possum to make something, and then I realized, oh, the thing you're working on with Connor right now, can I use that? Because that's frankly amazing. And then we found a snippet. I listened to it. I was like, all right, it's 2 days later. I'm still not sick of it. I think this will work. I have the mentality of like when they were making the original Legend of Zelda, the composer had a rule for the original game where he was saying that he had to listen to his own music, and if he ever got sick of it, there needed to be a change, and he'd have to rewrite something.
Yeah.
And he asked his coworkers to listen to it too while they were working, because if they ever got sick of it, the player's going to get sick of it, and so that needed fixing.
Yeah,
And
because
I was like, oh, that's my
Koji might have a
mentality.
bias, right? So he has to check with other people on the team as
Exactly. So
well.
I was like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna listen to this and I'm not gonna force myself to like it. But if I get sick of it, I can't use this. And
Yeah.
the fact that like 2 days later, I was like, I'm still not sick of it. All right, let's go. I'll make an animation for it. And
I
let's
would
announce
have to
this
ask
jam.
other people because I'm kind of a psychopath when it comes to music. I if I like a song, I can just leave it on loop all day without it ever
Oh,
annoying
for
me until it
sure.
becomes
That's
white
why the
noise.
challenge was
Yeah.
looping 6 seconds.
Yeah.
Because that is so much easier to get annoyed with. But it it,
Maybe.
it, it worked out, and I'm glad people like it. I still get the note that they're sick of the song, which is fair.
Because I'll leave even sometimes the for nostalgic reasons the old endless handbag loop on, which is pretty
Yeah,
short, and I'll just like leave that on continuously.
yeah, that's a good one. Although I hate how loud it gets sometimes. I wish it
Yeah.
would be normalized.
Yeah, yeah. And go in and make a corrected version of the loop.
Hey, can I ask when is this intending to be posted?
Well, I'm gonna like I said, I'm not gonna do heavy editing on it. I tried to get most of the audio stuff regulated before we go get to the editing phase. So I'm probably going to pop it into Vegas, uh, crank it out, and then maybe even today. Why?
Okay, because I was gonna say, I'm intending to later today announce the New Jersey meetup,
Oh, okay.
New Jersey Newgrounds meetup. Um, yeah, so I'm intending to make that post today. If not today, definitely tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It could be a thing to link at the bottom. It's gonna be great, hanging out with people locally, New Jersey, Philly, New York.
Oh yeah,
It's all
absolutely.
pretty close in. If you're like if you're in Philly, you're 90 minutes away from the venue. If you're in New York, you're about an hour away from the venue. It's gonna be a fun time. We're gonna play video games all day and get ice cream. and hang out in video game stores and draw in sketchbooks. It'd be great.
If I wasn't over 1,000 miles away in Texas, and
Yeah.
actually in the state I was born in, which was New Jersey, I would join you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I would say is like it's not something like too many games where I'd say it's worth flying to.
Yeah, yeah.
It's more for the locals, but I hope a lot of locals show up because it's gonna be good.
That sounds fun. Yeah, yeah, I'll definitely link that. Even if this
Of
goes
course,
up
it sounds
before
fun.
it,
It's
I can
ice cream
just
and video games.
I can
That's
just add
everybody
it
loves
in.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll send you a link to the post when it's up.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Who doesn't like ice cream and video games?
Yeah, it's just beautiful. I mean, I guess people are lactose intolerant, but even then, there's pills.
Yeah, I was thinking of that too, but it's fine. You know, you could just eat a cone, like a waffle cone on its own is fine. You don't need
I mean,
anything
you
else.
could just take a lactate, man.
Nah.
I don't think anybody goes in and just buys the cone.
I would, but I'm not lactose
No, I mean, I
intolerant, so
get it, but
I can eat the ice cream.
no, I get it,
Yeah.
but I'd never be like, I don't want to spend money. Let me get the cone instead of the ice cream. You know,
Yeah.
I get a cup of ice cream before I get the cone by itself.
Same.
No, you can't say same. You just said you'd eat the cone.
No, I would eat the cone, but this is talking about order of priorities. I would still get a cup of ice cream before the cone by itself.
Okay. Yeah, just rewrite history there. All right.
I have
It's fine.
the privilege of doing that. It is my show.
Yeah, it is. What's your next question? Is it whether or not I love hot peppers? Because I do.
I do too. That wasn't going to be the next question, but we could talk about that if you want.
Dude, we could talk for days. Time won't pass, man. It
Yeah,
just
yeah.
means I don't have to work for another ... minutes.
Yeah, because usually I just put this on for like an hour, but my hour limit is more of like I don't want to take anybody's time if they have
Dude, my
something
time
else
is
to do.
worthless.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not worthless. I get paid when I work, but
Yeah.
I'm not working, so it's worthless.
It actually makes me feel kind of bad because like 9 was the first person I interviewed, and I felt like he felt like he could probably go on longer, and I was trying to be a little tighter about making sure it was an hour, and then it just kept getting longer after that, and it's like,
Mhm.
oh, I think I owe 9 around 2 at a certain point where he can just go on as long as he wants.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask about any of his projects, he'll just go off.
Yeah.
Dude needs to stop though. It's too many
Oh,
projects.
yeah,
I've been
yeah.
telling you that ever since I met him. It's just going too hard. Like that's a man who
I
I'm watching him burn out slowly. It's gonna happen.
Oh, and I feel it, right? Because if people could already watch me burn out, because I'll pick up way too many projects at any given point in time, then they'll all go into hiatus at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, hell, when I burn out, I just shut my entire body down and I do nothing for a week, and everybody thinks I'm dead,
Yeah.
which is
And the thing
great
is, like,
because I wish I was.
and the thing he's working on right now, the one with the dragonflies that he's been putting like teasers and stuff all over on like Instagram and in the festival servers and everything.
Mhm.
I actually edited the scripts for him on that one, so I'm a little privy to some of the things he's working on
Yeah, I
before
know.
even a lot of
Him
other
and
people do.
Kevin, and some other people tend to go to you for some script advice, which is
Oh
cool.
yeah, a lot of people actually. Slimy just dropped something on my doorstep as well.
I love when people come to me for script advice because my advice is usually all in the dialogue. Because
Hmm.
sometimes I feel like it should be a normal thing, but when you read something in your head, you should hear the character saying it, and if it sounds stupid, you should recognize it. You should go,
Yeah.
"Oh, that is terrible wording. A human can't say this out loud properly." I feel like not enough people do that, and I don't feel like it's a special skill that I have, but it's something where when I hear it, I just go, "How do you not?"
Oh, I say all of my dialogue I write out loud.
Yeah,
All
it's
of
like
it.
literally
I'll even
just
do a
say it out
voice.
loud. It's bad. I love when people like
Yeah.
let me go into their stuff because I just all right, let's fix the dialogue because I know that's where the issue is going to be.
That was most of it for like 9 script. It was that, and he also wanted syntax, because you're sending it to other people. So there were the common problem everyone has. There's commas where there don't need to be commas, and there aren't commas where there need to be commas.
Yeah, but
But
you
that's like
don't
easy stuff. It's not
hear
the end of the world.
comments.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. But people care about that, right? Like they ask you to fix it because like I have to show this other people. People have to read
sure.
this. It's like well, for dialogue, commas really only matter where you want pauses to be.
Yeah, you want to break or take a
Yeah,
breath
and
or
that was
decide
most
where
of
the
my
emphasis
suggestions
is.
for it.
Yeah, I tend to be really creative with commas when it comes to
Hmm.
dialogue because I'm all about thinking of how do I want them to read it rather than what's correct.
Hmm. Same. That's why I will often have people substitute ellipses for hyphens because sometimes you
Because
just have like
ellipses is
this.
a long break. It's
It
so
is.
long.
Yeah. And a lot of times, like, it's the type of break that implies that you might be thinking in your head while you're
Yeah, you're
saying it, or
trailing, whereas a hyphen
maybe,
is going, no, you got cut off.
yes,
Yeah,
like
totally
a
agree.
hard cut. Like,
It's like it says char. You don't say character, you say char, but you should be trying to say character.
ka.
So you're
Yeah.
like,
Like you're saying car,
yeah,
and then it just gets cuts off.
char. Yeah, exactly. It's just a hard break. But you don't want to like stop too fast. Like that was just there.
Yeah. But if you put like an ellipses, you're more like, care.
He's like, "Do you care?" He's like, "No, I don't care." It's like
Yeah.
it's like that's free. But Rick, no buts. I don't remember where that's from, but it's a really funny clip of like some short film or some shit
Yeah.
where a guy goes, "But Rick," and then it cuts away to another guy and goes, "No buts." Like it was clearly supposed to cut a little bit earlier to cut him off.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, ugh, gross. That's why a lot of times when I record, at least for my cartoons, is I like to have all the voices in a call together, and I like to have them play off each other. And I'm like, you're allowed to interrupt each other. Just it depends on the cartoon, but usually, like for Lucky Boy, for example, I was like, these are human interactions, so I need you
Yeah.
guys to interact. So all of the dialogue stuff, if you were talking to another person, you were talking to another person, you were acting against them, except for
Mm-hmm.
Palo, because one of the reasons we had Palo is because we had to work with his time, but also the character is spaced out and high, and I was like, they're not talking to each other, they're having two different conversations. So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
okay.
see, I
It's
want to
okay
do
that
that.
you record the manager separate from Lucky. You guys shouldn't really be thinking about what the other person's saying.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, you have goals and objectives in dialogue, and it's like, what's your through line? Like, what are you trying to get across in this scene? And both of them want completely different things, so it's fine for them to treat the other like they don't exist.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And in that situation, if let's say I was doing a podcast with multiple people instead of just like one on one like this, then I would have everybody record on their end because the problem with the digital feed is that people end up cutting each other out, and
Yeah,
you can manually level that to where either both are heard or the slightly more important thing is louder than the other at the time, like somebody's actually answering the question.
yeah, totally agree with you there. The moment it turns into three people is you got to work a system out.
Yeah. But that actually, there's a project I want to do. Talk about having too many projects at once. But this would be a very low effort project on my part. Is I would love to do something with a bunch of people all recording at once. I kind of want to do like an audio drama for the audio portal, or not like so much a
Oh,
drama, more like a sitcom, but like
no,
just
I
an
know,
audio
you're
show.
talking
Yeah,
about like a radio play.
yeah, yeah. I want to do like a radio play.
I wanted to have radio plays on Newgrounds back in 16
Mm.
when I was doing like the voice acting thing. And I was like, all right, if I'm not being cast in anything right now, I'll just make some of these. And so I made like skits with myself, and I was like, eventually I'll do radio plays with other people, and it'll be really fun. I never did, but I still have those submissions up on my page where it's like, yeah, I just want to do like small comedy skits,
Yeah, yeah,
which with other voice actors at the same time, and just like improv some stuff and then cut it down to what works.
yeah. That's what I want to do. And, like
It's
one of the
like the original
ideas.
Superman radio show and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Or like
Yeah,
even
radio
going
plays are
back
cool.
to like The Shadow or any of those other radio plays, they can always be fun.
Or Hitchhiker's Guide
Oh
to the
yes,
Galaxy.
I love the old Hitchhiker's Guide. It hits different than when it gets cleaned up. I love the novel, but like the actual radio plays are just
It's fun to
special.
listen to.
Yeah, and that's what I would want to do. Is I would want to be more of a, if I'm going to work on that end, loosely scripted, if at all. I would want it
Yeah,
to
I
be
would give
a little
like bullet
more
points and
improvised.
objectives.
Yeah. Make it almost like a D&D game, but we're not actually playing a campaign. It's just like,
Yeah,
okay,
no, I get
here's
you.
what we're
Whereas
doing, and then we're all going to play off of each
like
other
in
in this
D&D, yeah,
experience. Yeah.
you all have your roles, you all have what you want, things you need, things you have, and then you just have to work together. Like freaking, I mean, that's why D&D is a perfect game.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
because you're creating a story together.
yeah, you just have to like fall into it, and it's hard for people to like break into that and like accept the rules of
Mm-hmm.
D&D because you can't really explain them until you experience it properly. Like, even if you know the rules, you might be a little bit rusty at first sliding
Yeah.
into it. Like, if you listen to some podcasts or like D&D shows and you're super into it and you want to try D&D the first time, you might need to do a couple sessions before you yourself can settle in properly too. Like,
Yeah.
you're
It's
not
like
going to
a
be perfect.
transitioning period.
Yeah, because you just need to like zone out and like reassociate with a different version of you, and then yeah, play
Because
that.
it's a very unique experience. There's the tabletop gaming experience is very different than like any other communal experience you might do for the most part, outside of maybe improv, right?
Yeah,
There's
like
some overlap
Gmod
there.
RP servers.
Yeah, and like I've DM'd a lot for like a very long time. I think since like 2005 might have been the first time that I DM'd, and I've been doing it since. And I've slowly grown in favor of just liking older rule sets from like even before I started
Sure.
doing it,
Yeah, I mean,
just
a lot of
because I
people
like it's
prefer like
looser.
Pathfinder
Yeah,
because
and
that's based on 3.5.
I think the most valuable part of the game is having a character that dies, and a lot of people are like they're so scared of losing a character, right? And you don't want to go out of your way to kill somebody's
Oh yeah, no,
character,
that's
or
that's definitely a thing that I like to do as well. I
yeah.
actually, the first time I ever DM'd is recorded and it's on Newgrounds.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I still have like I just decided to record the sessions because I was having fun with the sessions in our previous campaign where someone
Mm-hmm.
else was the dungeon master. I was like, it's so fun. I want to listen to these while I'm washing the dishes. And also, I was taking animation classes, and a lot of times we'd have to animate based on audio. And I was like, well, it'd be fun to just like use audio that made me laugh in the room with my friends. I was like,
Yeah.
so I could pick out audio that way and I could listen to it. I was like, I never intended to publish it. Then I was like, oh, I don't have audio submissions on Newgrounds. Might as well throw it up. And so 10 out of 20 recordings are on Newgrounds. But like you can hear me for the first time being a dungeon master, like trying to settle into it. Like at first
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to force things to happen, and then oh okay, and I start to reel back and like because even having played previous campaigns is like being a dungeon master is also different. It's
Yeah.
like you're also not going to be perfect at it the first time. You got to like take a session or two to reel it in. And I think like around like episode 2 or 3, I go, oh okay, this is what it feels like. I'm doing this correct. It's a lot of fun. They're having
Mm-hmm.
fun because that's your main role as like the host or DM is you have to make sure
You're a
everybody else is
player,
having
but you're a
fun.
player that's also like you're controlling the experience for everybody else so they can also have the optimum amount of fun.
Yeah, the world is a
Yeah.
player.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
think radio plays would be cool though. You should definitely do that.
yeah, I just need to figure out a group who wants to do that because to do the improv, obviously not everybody's going to be in every scene as things go forward, but it's all about coordinating and making sure that people are in the same room or
Well,
call as each
here
other.
here's the thing you could try is just try it in a VC
Yeah.
while people are like working. Just do it as like a background thing. It's like, hey, I want to try this out. I thought it'd be fun, and try and get them with like half attention. And then
Yeah.
if you can pull them from the level of half attention to no longer focusing on work and they're into it, they're like, okay, so how about we do this again?
Mm-hmm.
But without the work, let's just do this for this. But record them both. Record the one where they're working and they're half paying attention, and then you could also like hear the difference and see what's working. And it's like, because a lot of times you get better performances from people, or you get something more natural and fun when they're not thinking too hard.
Yeah,
And if
yeah.
the only thing in front of them is doing this task, doing the improv, they're gonna screw it up. They're gonna overthink or they're gonna try to be
Yeah, I've
funny
thought
when they're
about
not.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you want them doing something natural. That's like half the time. That's why, like in TV production in community college, is like one of the things I learned is just give people a prop to hold. If you give them a mug to hold, they'll end up like playing with it, and then they have a way easier time of being interviewed or like bouncing off you because they wouldn't be all in their head. They'd be focusing on something tactily, and then they could just leave their brain to generate thought and speak without overthinking.
Yeah, it's like being in call
Divide the
with some of the
conscious and
people we know,
subconscious.
like say Quartet or something, right? And they're all playing video games, and then people will just spin into like a almost like an improv comedy session because somebody said something stupid.
Yeah, I loved being in VCs with you guys and like
Yeah,
making Quartet laugh. That was usually my goal because his laugh is infectious.
it is. It really is. But that's definitely something I want to do. I do have a scripted one too that I could do that's a little more serious. Uh, that I probably should just finally do. The problem is like I never wrote the last scene. I've got like 25 minutes of a radio play written, like an old school vigilante crime drama play written, and I just never bothered to write the last 5 minutes.
I think that's totally fine. Sometimes you
Yeah.
don't need to know the ending because when
Yeah.
you start performing it, you might realize the ending.
Yeah, like, because I know how I want it to end, and I just never went around. It's like, sometimes it's the lines that's the problem, right? Like, sometimes you can come up with better lines just improvising, even if you know the direction you're going.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And like you could look at those words written out later and go, no, but the line I wrote is definitely better. But the problem
Yeah.
is the performance is too good. It sells the other one
Mm-hmm.
better.
Absolutely.
Like I love looking at like the script for The Dark Knight, because it's generally really good. If you read the beginning, it's pretty detailed in what happens in the bank, and you can imagine in your head, and you're like, all right, this is pretty clear. I understand why he did this and this and this. But you read the dialogue and you just go, this is really bland. But the performance is so convincing and so good that the dialogue doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's less about what they're saying and more how they say it or how they feel. I mean, that's why people love Shakespeare,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
because they're not. It's not about what they're saying. It's
How
about
they
how
say
they
it.
feel and how they're delivering it.
That's also why like theater's so fun, right? Because you can, depending on who the troupe is, you can go in and you can experience the same thing you've experienced 100 times, and it's still different because of the way that people are performing it, and it's like a fresh living experience.
Yeah, that's why I would never equate like a theater going experience to like watching a movie.
Ever.
Because a
Yeah.
movie is thought out and planned completely, um, but a theatrical performance just works with what it has, and what it has is a different cast
Yeah.
depending on where it is or what time it is, and they're all bringing something different to the show. It might be small or it could be a big difference, but you never know.
Yeah, it's kind of like the difference between performance art and canvas art. I put films more in that canvas art because it's like a finished production that you're showing somebody off.
Yeah, except Spider-Verse apparently.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I love Phil Lord and Tim Miller and all their work. I've been following them for like a decade. They always make good shit, and I love their writing. But damn, dude, just like finish a film and call it finished. I know I'm a criminal for that. Well, the lucky boy is I held off releasing it for an extra 6 months so I could polish it by myself in
Yeah.
my room, and then Dom eventually like forced me to release it. Uh, but so I'm a criminal of it. But even I'm saying it's like you just gotta like move on. Just be done. Stop making redos. Stop making extra versions for theaters. Don't make additional edits. Like I I already find director's cuts stupid.
Yeah.
I know why they exist, or at least initially why they existed, is because you have to sell it at a certain like length.
Mhm.
That's what the theater wants. But now that we've thrown like run times out the window and like streaming services, you can have episodes of any length and differing lengths. Now that all those like constrictions are gone, we shouldn't have director's cuts anymore. It
We
should
shouldn't.
always be the director's cut. The director's cut is what you should be seeing. That's the director's job. You shouldn't
Yeah.
have a separate cut, and that's why I'm infuriated by Spider-Verse stuff where they just have, like keep making multiple cups and multiple master versions that then the workers have to keep up with, and that's just
And I'll be honest, kind of harping back on something you were saying earlier when it came to like watching a 30-minute short, right? Which is not even, it's a short film at that
yeah.
point. It's I think directors should be doing the director's cut, but they should still be aiming around the
Yeah, no,
runtime, because
the
a lot of
runtime
movies
is
these days
helpful.
don't earn their runtime, you know?
Yeah, and it also helps you keep in pacing. You're like, "All right, well, this is
Mhm.
not the story isn't moving, or the story is moving too fast." Like the Super Mario movie, I watched that for the first time recently. It flies. The pacing is way too
Yeah,
fast. We could cut out some Brooklyn bullshit. We could shut up out I don't need Brooklyn at the end. They never need to go back to Brooklyn.
ever.
Just give
No.
us some space in parts because there's like you're like, all right, he meets Toad. 5 minutes later, he meets Peach. All right, now he's they're training, and now he sees Toad again, and then they act like they've been friends forever. It's been 15 minutes. Like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's got that which is
Like they're
common in
really trying to hit
Illumination
80
films.
minutes with this one.
Yeah, and it's also very common with Illumination films though. It's they're trying to hit that perceived child ADD like experience where like we can't ever stop moving or else we'll lose
Sure.
the child's attention, which I don't think is true. Maybe more so now, but I probably still not. I think children have more attention than people are willing to give them credit
I
for.
Yeah, I believe that. I agree.
Yeah.
But no, you're also right with saying it's like sometimes they need to earn their length. Is like I see sometimes episodes are like 46 minutes or 26, depending on the episode in some shows.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm glad that they have the creative freedom to just like do what the episode needs. But sometimes I feel like they're really just not cutting enough because they aren't forced to for commercials.
Oh yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
if you're forced to cut down the meat and you're like, we got to trim the fat and get it down to 23, you could make a 26-minute short, like a 26-minute episode, you can make it much better just
Hmm.
by like forcing yourself to trim. But just because you have to trim doesn't mean it's gonna be better. You know, sometimes it is good longer. But just like thinking I have to trim this down makes you realize what the fat is and what you should get rid of. And that's what makes a better cut. Like otherwise, we'd have Star Wars where we sit in the desert with Luke for 30 minutes
Oh
before even
yeah.
the first scene happens.
And you can even say that from some things that are like immaculate these days. Like I really like Cobra Kai. I think most episodes earn the kind of like 45-minute, which would be an hour if commercials were included runtime. But then there's certain episodes I'm just like, you probably could have cut 15 minutes out of this episode.
Yeah, I'll even say that about my favorite show, Psych. Favorite
Yeah,
show of
yeah.
all time. But
I love
sometimes there's an
Psych.
episode where I'm just like, the mystery's over, but it's being padded. And sometimes it deserves it. Like, it's not always about when the mystery ends. Like when they figure it out isn't necessarily the end of the episode. But there's
Especially
sometimes
because
where
it's
you
a
just go
comedy
as like,
show.
yeah, you're just like, it's an hour long, so it's 44 minutes, and you're just like, I know they have to hit it.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's some padding here, but sometimes it deserves it, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I'm like, this could be a 30-minute episode, and I'd be
Yeah, yeah.
fine.
I need to go back and rewatch Psych. It's been a while.
Me too. I have the collector's box set, but it's a pain putting in DVDs,
I
so
know.
I tend to just go to Amazon.
Like my computer doesn't even have a disk drive anymore. If I want to watch like a DVD or something, I have like
Like a
I've got like a
USB
DVD
extension.
player, right? And I have to go plug that into a monitor or
For
something.
me, I have to unplug one of my SATA hard drives to plug in
Mm.
the DVD drive. So I'm not gonna do that. I'll play it off my PS4 or whatever.
I'll cheat sometimes though, like sort of, since the DVD player has an HDMI and being somebody who does production, I'm sure you're the same. You probably have like a whole bunch of like little odds and ends for different things. I'll
Yeah, of
just plug
course.
the
Got a
HDMI
box.
into my encoder that puts it into USB, and I'll just like run it through my computer while I'm doing things.
Yeah, whatever works.
Yeah.
For me, I have a surplus of monitors. I
Yeah,
can
I mean,
always plug something in.
I do. They're not all in the same place, right? Like I've got a second monitor on my computer, but then like
Like, all right, wait.
I've got like TVs and other monitors in different rooms. Like I don't feel like going to another room to watch
All
something.
right, looking at my room right now, I'm counting the monitors. I have one, two, three, four, five, six, and only two are currently plugged in and functioning. They're
Hmm.
just the other four are just around. And that's just in this one room. That's not great. That's a
No,
waste.
I used to be like that, but I don't know. I've been through so many moves that it's like you kind of just keep the bare essentials with you.
Yeah. I can't wait to move again.
Ah, see, I'm probably gonna be moving again pretty soon, but I don't know if I'm ever like I can't wait to move again. Right? It's a lot of effort, and I've just done it so many times. I kind of just want to be settled down for a while.
Well, it's just, New Jersey's expensive and I have no reason to
Yeah,
be here.
yeah. That's actually why we moved in the first place when I was younger. It's 'cause New Jersey's too expensive, and they're like, we're raising a family. We got to go somewhere cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, for the meetup, we're having the New Jersey meetup in probably one of the nicest towns in New Jersey. And I
Oh yeah.
always talked about wanting to live there because I love how nice it is. And it's got all this great stuff around and great food and video games, got an arcade, and it's just nice. And I looked at apartments and there's like nothing below 2,000 a
Mm.
month for just like a single bed, single bath. Not even with like washer and dryer. I'm just like, ah, it's gross. It's disgusting. I don't know how, like, what jobs do people living here even have that they can afford this?
Yeah, because I think there are
Because I feel like I get paid
individual.
decently working in
Yeah, yeah.
Helva. Decently enough for a single guy is like, I feel like I get paid well enough. But holy shit, how much do I have to be paid to freaking live there?
It's a problem with New
Like
Jersey, right? Like
3,000.
there are individual cities that have a higher cost of living, but I think as a state, New Jersey is the highest cost of living out of any of them.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's basically LA of the East Coast.
Yeah,
And I just mean that in pricing. It's like California.
yeah, yeah. It's like you'd be better off in upstate New York,
Maybe.
pricing
That's why
wise.
the Avengers moved there.
Yeah.
City was too expensive.
Yeah, you would hope it'd actually be for like responsibility reasons. Like everybody keeps attacking us. We need to make sure people aren't destroying the city. But it was probably because Tony was tired of paying the taxes.
Yeah, it's tax for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the guy, but billionaires.
Yeah.
I made a short recently about killing a billionaire, and it got banned from YouTube. It's on Newgrounds. It has like 500 views on Newgrounds, but it has 1 million views on Instagram and it has 450,000 views on TikTok. But it has 500 on Newgrounds, and it got deleted from YouTube.
Yeah, I saw
because
this.
it's about killing a billionaire. I just can't believe it got deleted from YouTube.
Yeah,
I mean,
this made
it's not
me
even like the worst I could have done.
made me laugh.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we drew a noose around the guy and showed hanging him. Any public execution. We just showed a picture of him and went, he's dead now. I killed him.
Yeah, because you. I remember why I saw this.
It was during the panel. Yeah, I
The
wanted
panel.
to
Yeah, because you were talking about Jersey House.
Yeah, because I mean, like, they make cool cartoons that I felt like go under the radar, and I was like, this is perfect to talk about for rating stuff. Where it's like sometimes you have the advantage of having fans, and sometimes you don't. They
Yeah.
don't. They have like 50 fans total, and most of which came after that video. I have the benefit of having more, and that's why my stuff tends to get rated higher, and I think it should get rated lower. There should be more diversity.
Yeah. Like even this, I liked it, but I think I gave it a 3.5.
I gave it a
Like
3.
you gave it a 3. Yeah, like it's not spectacular, but
I may have
it's
given it a
funny.
3.5 on
Yeah.
stream because I was talking about biases, and I was like, I give it a 3, but I worked on it. I think I did a good job. I'm biased for it. 3.5.
Yeah. Here I'll give them a follow. Because that worm video was also
they're making
really
cool
funny.
stuff. Just the worm was funny. I love that one. I also love they loved one of the first things that I showed them when we were going to work together. I showed them American Ball Frog,
Mm-hmm.
which is my jam entry that I made with Studio Nokoi for the Ball Frog jam. And then I made a parody of our parody called Canadian Ball Frog. And that's what I showed them. And they just love the idea that I made a parody of my own parody.
Yeah. So it's a fun thing to do. I think you need to have like a really good sense of humor about yourself, especially if you're already working in something that's humorous.
Well, the thing is, like, I co-created it with Nokoi, so I was far enough from it where I was like, I could shit on this. And so I just rewrote the script, put a bunch of Canadian jargon. I changed the opening theme to be like Canadian rock. I added references like Rush and stuff, whatever in the set.
Mm-hmm.
And I changed the animation at the end to be throwing up maple syrup instead of, the slime he does at the end.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it's so stupid. And to make it even dumber, I recorded it. I rendered it out at like 120 FPS. Just to see if anybody noticed.
Why?
I just wanted to see if anybody could tell the difference. But yeah, the original cartoon's in 24 FPS, but this one is in 120. It's just something I always found funny that nobody uses. Like 64 bits, all their animations are 60 FPS, even on Newgrounds. And it's like a feature of the encoder that just nobody seems to use. So I was like, yeah, I'll use it. How far does it go? 120 FPS, that's the cap? Cool, let's do it.
Yeah, and that's cool.
I think that's the cap. I couldn't tell the difference when I uploaded at 240.
Yeah, it's cool if you're like intentionally doing that. There was like a big stink around it recently, and I for the most part, I think I agree with one side, where a lot of people are just trying to make animation 60 FPS because everything's 60 FPS, and I'm just like, it's dumb. It's like, have intent. Whatever your intent is, if you actually use it well, work on your media.
I mean, especially when it comes to interpolation. Like, if
yeah,
anytime I see anime get interpolated, I just go, if you change from one frame to the next and there's no change, there's a hold there.
Yeah.
You can't interpolate that. It doesn't exist. It's just going to look shitty no matter what you do. You could delete that frame and interpolate, blend in, and merge some. It's just not going to look right because it was intended for a hold, and that's why it looks good in the first place. Yeah, we could go on about interpolation all the time. I used it on Lucky Boy to great success because I love it for stop motion. It's not the cleanest and it's not the most perfect, but it's great for stuff like stop motion because it's good with realism interpolation.
Yeah.
And there were animations we made and we did that I didn't realize till editing later when we already took down the stop mo studio stuff. We took down the green screen and we gave the lighting supplies back to the school. We were like, there's not enough frames here. The motion isn't smooth. It's not looking right. And I ran through an interpolator and like after a couple tries, I was like, this is where I merged different frames and different takes. I was like, this is looking pretty smooth. This is looking good. The very first shot of the film is in my compositing reel or my VFX reel to show how shitty it looked before and after I interpolated it. The very first shot of the film looked just jarring and weird. I'll send you a link to this, but it doesn't look right. And then when you see it with the interpolation on, you go, oh, okay. I
Yeah, yeah.
wouldn't have noticed unless you showed me, but it does look terrible without it. Here's a link to my VFX reel. It's at 1:40.
Okay.
I wouldn't normally do a reel that's longer than a minute, but VFX needs some explaining sometimes. So like you repeat yourself and add captions. But basically, it's like when you see it, how it was originally shot next to it being retimed and interpolated, you go, oh, okay, because it's a camera move as well. And if the camera feels rickety and jittery, it doesn't work. That's why stuff like Spider-Verse, even if it's animated on 2s or 3s or 4s, even 8s, the camera is still animated on 1s. Because if
Oh
you
yeah, I see
start messing with
exactly
the
what you're
camera,
talking
it
about. Yeah.
totally screws things up. So yeah, since this was a camera move shot, it's like it had to look right. It needs to be smoother. The camera has to be moving at 24 FPS, even if Lucky isn't. And interpolation came in to save the day, and I used it in a couple other shots too. But
Also,
it's all
like
like
immediately
as a tool.
afterwards, you have your like really jank you're watching Disney Channel bumper.
Oh yeah, and my deep fake of Tom Fulp.
Yeah. But yeah, and it that's the problem. Like it can work really good on these more, I guess, realistic, fleshy objects, things that were originally 3D, but obviously they're compressed because they're shot through a camera. Um, but like on like really hard edges with like thin outlines, a lot of times you just get like really, really bad
Yeah,
interpolation.
I mean it just looks like shit.
You know?
There's a reason why when you look at interpolators and how they're advertised on their sites or like itch.io, you see the gifs that they promote, and it's like either a real movie
Mm-hmm.
or it's like some 3D thing that is already very smooth. Like
Yeah.
literally for the one I use flow frames for that. If you go to the site, it's like they have a GIF of the Guara VTuber,
Oh,
Guara or whatever.
Gargura?
Yeah, sure. Her Shark Girl.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's just a 3D model of her and she's moving and one's smoother than the other. And you're like, that makes sense. And the other one
Yeah.
is a shot from a film and it's just smoother. And you're like, that makes sense. There's a reason they don't show anime or cartoons,
Yeah.
is because it's not built for that. It doesn't work well with solid colors or like these subtle gradients. It just isn't. It works good with like too much detail or no detail.
Mm-hmm. And like one of the reasons, especially like when you look at cell shading, it's not even just for like speed, right? Like one of the reasons we use these solid colors when it comes to animation is because it already fools your eye when it's going from one block of solid color to another block of solid color in motion anyway. You don't actually need anything to fill in the gap there.
Yeah, I mean, like Ping Pong, the animation has no shadows,
Yeah.
but you can tell the form and three-dimensional form of everybody in it because it's just well animated.
Yeah.
You have to see it in motion. You can't compare it without. And if the motion is what makes it look good, you can't change the motion.
You can't. No.
It's like changing voice actors. I'll get on another tirade with that shit.
Yeah.
Don't change them.
Unless you
I
have
mean,
to.
sometimes you could change them. Like
Yeah.
for example, the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, they changed the voice actors and it was a good thing. But if you change the Powerpuff Girls, don't. I don't even like that
Uh,
they changed Lemon Grab in the Adventure Time. I love Fiona and Cake. It's been really great so far. And at one point, like the gender swap of Lemon Grab shows up,
mm-hmm.
and they're voiced by women, and it's like, yeah, it's funny. It's a great call to. But then in the next episode, they show a small little portion, like a 3-second blip of actual Lemon Grab in his old world, and he's voiced by someone different. I'm just like, I didn't need to see that at all. I don't
Yeah.
care if you don't want to work with Justin Roiland ever again. Just don't show me that clip. We already got the lemon grab. Just don't change the voice. It's
Yeah.
weird. It doesn't feel right. I didn't need to see this character again. It's fine. But they're like, no, we got to show that character again, and that means we have to get a new voice, and that means. And I was like,
but it almost feels like, right, because the way that some of these studios work, they have to do it to show that there's a different voice. Like we're trying to show the older people who might know that we replaced Justin Roiland.
it's like I don't give a shit about any of that. I
Yeah.
just don't change the voice, and
It
I don't
breaks
need to see
immersion.
that character. So even better, don't change the voice and don't show the character. It works for me.
Just cut it out entirely.
Show's over. I saw the other ones because they're new characters technically.
Yeah.
You didn't have to change the voice for that because they're different people. It's,
Yeah. Like
cartoon characters
one
with
that
their voices.
I'm ultimately fine with is that Mario's voice in the games is finally changing, but like Charles is old, like he can retire. Somebody else can
It changes
do it.
almost nothing for me.
Yeah, like you don't even really tell. It's a guy who's doing like an impression of Charles, and he sounds really, really close from the trailer.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'd throw my hat in the ring to voice all the Toads if they'd let me.
Yeah. You could just be Toadsworth.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Then I'd really never play Paper Mario Thousand Year Door.
So
I'd have to
your
read
own voice
that.
on
I'd have to
repeat.
read his bullshit.
Yeah.
I'd sooner rip my vocal cords out.
Yeah.
No, that's one of my nightmares, dude. Like, if anything happens to my voice, I'm gonna be so sad. Like, that's why throat polyps is like my nightmare scenario. Like, I might just kill myself if I get throat polyps. I don't think I could live without talking.
Yeah, no, it definitely scares me too. Like my range, just getting older isn't exactly the same. Like it's still close, but I can feel I can't go quite as high or quite as low as I used to. And I used to have like a really, really wide range.
Just let the runtime of this audio right now show how much I love talking.
Yeah.
To take that away from me is taking away my life. I can't.
Yeah. Speaking of, what is the runtime?
I don't know. Probably like 100 minutes.
We are at an hour 46.
So 106 minutes.
Yeah, you were pretty close.
Yeah, it was. I'm proud of myself and I have the skills. Did you know on Newgrounds you can't submit an audio portion that's more than 8 hours?
I did not know that, but I'm not surprised. That's a really long audio file anyway.
The D&D audio that I sent you earlier, one of the episodes was so long that it crashed the server every time it tried to encode the visual waveform it shows. I report site bugs all the time to Tom and Josh. And that was one of the bugs that I was really proud of because I was like, I broke the site in a way nobody else has for sure because nobody else uploaded 6 hours of audio and it crashed the server. We figured out what the issue was and I was like, oh, okay. It's because the first person who plays it, their computer has to generate the waveform. And if it doesn't generate it, it sends back a fail. And so since I was viewing it, my computer couldn't generate the waveform because it was too big. And then we tried sending it to the server and it was too big for the server. So we had to do it in chunks. It was a whole thing. And it's like one of my episodes, it was so long, it broke the server. You could not play this audio. So there was a hard cap limit on how long audio could be. Otherwise, it times out and it crashes. They extended it. And then I responded by uploading 12 hours of silence, which got deleted from the site. But it's so long, it can't generate a waveform, but you can play it.
Yeah. That's funny.
But they still deleted it.
You should get like a special medal or badge on the site for that.
My badge on the site is just that Tom constantly lets me use the front page banner for whatever jam I feel like doing.
Yeah, that's always cool.
Yeah, I don't need anything more than that. It's already enough. That's a lot as is.
Yeah.
It's a lot of power and a lot of trust that I don't make his site ugly. Sometimes I delay stuff, like the live action jam. I was delaying it because I wasn't done with the banner, and I was like, "It looks like shit. It looks like dog shit. I'm making his website ugly. I'm responsible for this."
I wanted to do something for the live action jam, but I just did not find the time. I was thinking of like doing something that was like stop motion with live action. I was gonna do something like how Mortal Kombat was originally made with like basically JPEGs.
Yeah, pixelation.
Yeah.
It's the process of like animating people frame by frame.
I was gonna do something like that, but I just didn't find the time to do it.
Yeah, that's why I tried to make that one a little bit longer. It was like a month, I think. Just because, jams are great, but even if you work on it for 2 days, you have to find 2 days.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
especially
gonna
if you're
announce the
already a
winners of
creative,
that soon.
most creatives already have projects. That's
Yeah.
which I know the jams are trying to like bring new people into creative fold. Like that's
Yeah,
how
partly.
Phasma started animating, right? Was participating in the jams.
Yeah, that was really cool, getting to watch that for the first time, like, on a panel was really fun. 'Cause it was like, "Oh, and the creators in the chat, yeah, we really liked it. This is what we liked, and we loved that it was Phantom Limb Syndrome. We totally called it." And then we
Yeah.
watched it again and saw the references. And I think that was really satisfying for them as well.
Oh yeah, and now it's exploding into a whole series. It's another person that I've been helping out a lot with like the back end production stuff.
Mhm. Script writing.
Yeah, well, because she wants to do a comic book now. I've inspired a lot of people to start doing comic books.
Cool, the comic, viewers coming soon.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, Tom's been, posting about it nonstop, and it's been making Psycho Goldfish sweat.
Yeah,
'Cause
I've been seeing stuff,
that's
but
his
like
job.
that's the thing is like I always see Tom posting about stuff, but a lot of times you're like, okay, he's talking about it, but how long really is it going to be until it happens?
I mean, we were supposed to get it before summer, so
Yeah,
who knows? But it feels like it's getting closer and closer. It's gonna be awesome when it drops, though.
yeah, yeah. I'm excited
I can't wait
as
to
a
start
comic
crediting
maker.
people on collab art pieces.
Same. I've got quite a few to go back and do.
I don't have as many as I thought I would. I'm just scrolling through my art right now, and I'm like, all right, this is a good, you know, 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think maybe I can count them all on both hands. That I would have to go back and credit people. Most of them are actually just they started out as shit posts from Kyo, and I just ended up turning them into full pieces of art.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's still it's nice to credit somebody though. It's like yeah, I mean you penciled it. I just did everything else. But like
Yeah,
without your rough, I wouldn't have anything to have done.
I think more roles need to be added, like a
Yeah.
cleanup artist or something. Like, I'm actually the reason that compositor is now a role on the project system is because
Oh,
I asked
nice.
Tom for it. I mean, it's just like that. That's all you have to do sometimes is just ask Tom. He's a human, and you just
Mm-hmm.
go, "This is why I think this," and blah blah. I was like, a lot of people are learning more about post production. We're getting a lot of post production done on new cartoons on the site, and I feel like it's a role that we're just going to end up using instead of additional animation because there's nothing else that clearly says what it is. And he
Yeah.
was like, "Sure, all right, compositor," and now that's a role that you can credit people on. I and part of the reason I did that was for Lucky Boy, but I was also a producer, and I felt like that was a bigger role. So I was like, even though I was the compositor, I feel like I still have to do producer instead because that's a bigger role.
Oh, we had that problem on the game that we did during that Valentine's Day kind of
Yeah.
like collab jam. And Stan and I did basically just as much work as each other, and we both kind of had like a director role. We were just covering different things. And like he had no idea what he should label me on it. And I think we just settled with producer. Because that was
Mhm.
like the best other role that was there, but I wouldn't even ask for another role because I'm like I don't even think there be a name for another role. Producer's probably just the best thing to put anyway.
Yeah, like I would do production.
Yeah.
Some people don't know that you can click on those, but the ones that are above in the list you can click on.
Oh, you can. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can be a lot of different things.
There are
Um,
a lot of roles. Yeah.
yeah.
But especially like when you have like jack of all trades working at things like yeah, production just seems like it's the best default role for something like that.
Yeah, because what else do you put?
Yeah, we're not just put writer. Like sure, I wrote like half the scripts, but I did way more than that.
Yeah, I tend to go with like the biggest clump or sometimes the most different clump. Like for
Mm-hmm.
Lucky Boy, one of our character modelers, he was also a storyboarder, and because there's only many of us in the film, he was a
Yeah.
storyboarder. He did some animation, he did some modeling, but he really designed uh, most of our character models and sculpted. So I was like, character designer should be his credit on Newgrounds because that is the big one he did. He's credited all in the film in the credits, but on Newgrounds, it was like I want to point out he's the one who designed what these guys look like.
Mm-hmm.
that feels like the big one that also separates him from the rest. Like some of us did animation, and he did as well, but character design, that's like specifically him.
I mean, a multi-credit box would be cool. Like if there's like a little plus
No,
there.
then it gets like
I know.
littered. Like, yeah, you have to think
Yeah.
about like then what minutia do we credit? Like, for example, with American Ball Frog again,
Yeah.
it like inside the description, Nokoi decided to put all of the work that was done. And I was like, all right, if you want to list all the work that was done, we're gonna really fill out this box. And he was like, yeah, let's list all the work. And I was like, that's freaking crazy. So now I have like 20 credits in the description where it's like BrandyBuizel did the compositing, the cinematography, the environment modeling, the materials, the lighting, the Foley sound.
Yeah, because I guess like I would say you could solve that by just putting like a hard cap of how many things, but then like if you're gonna put a hard cap, you might as well just leave it back at one anyway.
Exactly. So I'm just like
Yeah.
compositor. There you go. Additional credits. See below.
Yeah, I was just thinking like because a lot of people like to call it like the IMDb on Newgrounds where it shows everybody who's involved in something, and like in IMDb you can have like 5, 6, 7 credits, but yeah, then it would start to become like a bloat, even if the system just told it to have like slashes and all be on the same line.
Yeah, I just like
Yeah.
I like that there's one. It's very useful. It's just like it just lets you know everything you need to know. I just wish additional art wasn't used as much as it is. You know, it's
Yeah.
used for stuff like cleanup. I think we need a cleanup role added. If Hell of a Boss ever uploads on Newgrounds, we definitely need that.
Yeah. Do you think that would ever happen?
I mean, I've been asking for it, and so have
Yeah.
some other people. You know, because like the dicks and stuff get blurred on YouTube.
Yeah. And you wouldn't have to do that on Newgrounds. You just rate it appropriately.
Yeah, and but like not even like dicks, like they're dildos. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
It's like it wouldn't even be rated A. It'd just be rated M, but it would still be able to be on Newgrounds.
Yeah, it's like the difference
Um,
between Suction Cup
but the
Man with
credits, the
right.
credits would be so long, and you definitely need the category of cleanup or
Mm-hmm.
cleanup artist or cleanup animator. I just don't know if it should be cleanup artist or cleanup animator, honestly. That's the only thing that would hold me back from recommending it to Tom.
I think it probably should just be cleanup artist, right? Because well, even though we're thinking of like art with that word, I mean artist is just a broad disciplinary category. Like animation is a form of art. I think it falls in there.
Yeah,
Like
it's just like it
it's the
depends on
broader,
the job. I hear
safer
both
title.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should definitely have that on Newgrounds because there are people who do that. Like for example, on Snacker's recent film,
Mm-hmm.
um, in their credits they specify who did cleanup, and they're just credited as additional animation. It's like,
Yeah.
well, that's not totally true. Let's fix that. Like for example, also with the Summer Jam stuff, like I hosted them, and they're big collabs, like the music videos and stuff. But I credit myself as the editor because I feel like that's an impact that I actually had on the video. Like, so
Yeah.
what that I hosted it? So what if that's my creation? Who cares that I organized it? But I did the editing. That should matter, you know? So I love that editor is a role that you can do. Because editing is also its own thing that's very important. I could have put producer if like I didn't care about my edits, but I felt like I'd like worked really hard on like the pacing stuff. So I was like, all right, editor, we'll say that.
No, yeah, I don't think people really understand like how much work goes into editing in different disciplines, especially in anything that's video related. Like there's a lot of work.
Well, especially with those, for example, because they're made to just be watched endlessly. That's why
Yeah.
it's Never Ending Dance Party and Endless Summer Lovin', is
Mm-hmm.
because I would do that endlessly and I just like keep watching them on loop. The same principle as the composer for Zelda 1 is with those loops is I would edit them to death until it felt perfect. That's why it would take me like a month
Yeah,
to
you
make
don't want it to
those
feel
because
like it's broken at any point,
it feels
right?
perfect every single time for me. And when I watch it, I just go, this is the natural order. I couldn't imagine it a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So once it reaches that level, I go, all right, ship it. That gets to come out. I will say Endless Summer Loving was a little bit harder to do because you also like vastly different color palettes and stuff. It's like trying
Yeah.
to cut between them is jarring. So I did this thing where it's like it goes from dawn to morning to evening to dusk to evening to like dawn again. And so like as the video progresses, it also changes the time of day. So that way the color palettes kind of work. And something
Yeah,
you'd
that way
probably
you
never
can
notice,
cycle it
but
better.
it's just it
Yeah.
feels more natural.
Mm-hmm. No, no, no. You could feel it. watching it. Like as somebody who didn't work on it at all and is strictly just a viewer, you could feel it watching it.
Yeah, thanks, man. I did work hard on that one. I was really glad when I asked Tom if I could put it up on the Newgrounds YouTube that he was like, "Oh yeah, of course. Oh, that's an option. Hell yeah." I love that I have that now. Now I can put it on my portfolio site and it not linked to Newgrounds shitty embed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like I embed Newgrounds stuff sometimes into my like website, my portfolio, and they just look like shit because the embed player isn't meant to work like that.
Yeah. And then it's like you have to embed it. You can't just redirect it because when people see the name Newgrounds on the link and they're just like, I don't
And
want
you
to
never want to
click
do that
on
with
that.
like, your portfolio website. You don't want to
Because it's
give them more
professional.
work to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that
It's
too.
like
Yeah.
it should all be there to present. So like if you scroll down on this page, it's like, oh, I never entered the dance party. That's not on YouTube. So we gotta use the Newgrounds link. That doesn't look trustworthy.
Yeah. And then you can see immediately that's the embed because I see the orange play button.
Yeah. And it's not even right size because the player doesn't give you those options.
Yeah, like it's like slightly up in like the top left quadrant, but not even fully. It's like just off center.
Yeah, and it's like I asked Josh to fix that forever, but he won't because nobody actually needs it and there's other stuff that has to be done. And I'm like, fair.
Yeah,
It's
he's got
fair, but
enough to do as
that's
it
fine.
is.
He does. He's got to finish that art portal update.
Yeah, everybody keeps bugging me about it too, and they're like, "Oh, this is gonna be so good," and right?
Why are they bugging you?
Well, they're bugging me about it, not because I have anything to do with it, but because I'm a comic guy, right? And it's like, "Oh, this update's gonna be so good for comics." It's like, I'm gonna ignore it for comics though. I'm just gonna wait till like the full comic, you know?
I thought you were just a writer. Do you also do art?
Oh yeah. I am a comic illustrator. This is one of the main things I do.
What's your Newgrounds again? It's not the metal.
No, it's I'm a Demetal. I can type it. There's the username. Yeah, actually the bulk of and it's a problem because it's just a bunch of single comic pages, but the bulk of
Okay,
my
yeah, because I always
Newgrounds is just
associate you with
art.
just writing.
Yeah. No, I'm a jack of all trades.
Welcome to the club, bud.
Yeah. That's why like I don't feel a problem freelancing. Like I get a lot of people who are like, "Oh god, it's so scary." It's like, "Well, yeah, if you only do one thing. It's a lot you're only searching for jobs in that one thing. If you've got a lot of different skills, you're like it's pretty easy to find stuff."
Yes, I'm scrolling back in time. I'm going to the cringe.
Yeah.
Tell me more about Splatter del Gato.
Oh, that was it's not even my character. That was an inside joke in Comics Gate. And I decided I thought the joke was funny enough. I wanted to make a really dumb, like, I don't know,
I
pin
like
up.
the tire treads on his
Yeah.
face. That's good.
Well, that was the joke because it was a cat that appeared in one issue of Captain Marvel who got like ran over by a car, and it just kind of became a mascot because how stupid it was.
Cool.
But yeah, I would say as far as stuff I upload, art would actually be the bulk of what I do.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's also nowhere to upload writing by itself.
Yeah, it's like what am I gonna
I
do?
mean,
Just make
people
a
have asked
journal?
for a writing portal, but whatever that means. Go to
Yeah.
AO3, I guess.
Like, wait, we didn't even need a writing portal. Just
I know,
if
but
you want to
I
write
mean,
stuff,
there's
just go
forums and
partner with
stuff.
somebody.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need a portal for everything, but I'm glad we're getting comics added to the art portal, and hopefully we have a comics category to at least make them searchable.
Yeah, because there is a comics category for images, but it doesn't really change much.
Well, for now, it doesn't change much.
Yeah,
In the future,
it will.
hopefully, it changes a lot. Yeah, I can't even think of what else we would want: movies, games, audio, art, comics. What else even is there?
Well, within that like generality, not much. Not really anything
Yeah, I feel
else.
like that covers a lot of bases. People have asked about like Hans has asked me about like a live action portal. He was asking if that was my intent with the live action jam. I was like, no.
No,
It's called the live action jam, but it's an animation jam, and the theme is live
it's live
action.
action. Yeah.
The theme is to use live action. And he was like, "Oh, I thought you were trying to like make more live action creations on Newgrounds." And I was like, "No, no, no. That's a terrible idea."
Horrible. Now, if it's
Because
like an
stuff like
integration thing, that's
I
fine.
love stuff
But
like Mutton Chops because
yeah.
it's like cartoon characters in real life. It's because the artistry behind this live action elevates it to it's a cartoon of real people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the Madness trailers, like it's like, it's cartoonish real people and CG and you know. So
Yeah, you get
foremost
like
and
certain
first,
things
it's an animation.
like James Lee gets a pass because he puts like animations
Well,
in
that's what
this
I'm
kind of
saying is
like
it shouldn't
live
even be
action
a
stuff.
pass. You
Yeah.
should just look at it and go, "This is animated.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It belongs." It's not somebody doing like a skit with their friends and
Yeah.
filming with an iPhone and hitting start and stop. And I had to use my wording carefully because we were debating this for a while, me and Hans, and we came down to like using the right terminology. It's not easier to create live action; it's easier to generate live action to
Yes.
then generate animation. Like animation, you could extend the frame count, and it's a still image. Um, but you could put in time and do frames, and animation takes forever and a lot of work. Film can also take a lot of work, but for the lowest tier, that barrier of entry to generate film, it's just
Mm-hmm. It's a lot easier to be lazy when
three
it comes to
presses.
film.
Yeah, and that's why
Yeah.
it's like you need to work harder to justify why this belongs on Newgrounds, and it's like that's where the animation comes in.
Yeah,
We
like
did
if
receive a
somebody did
few
a full
live
like
action films.
who framed Roger Rabbit thing, I'd be super impressed and be like, yeah, put that on there.
Yeah, and I would tag it live action because that makes sense,
Yeah.
and that's hopefully what I was trying to accomplish with the jam. Mostly because I wanted to host a stop motion jam, but I felt like if I
Mm-hmm.
limited the medium, I would get no results. Like nobody who wasn't already a stop motion animator would participate. Nobody would just try it out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, maybe one or two, but it just wouldn't service
It'd
well
be
enough. So
very,
that's why I
very
went
low
broader.
pool of entries.
Yeah, but I'm not doing a jam next year. I refuse. Somebody
You
else has to
refuse.
take over.
Yeah.
I
Well, I
just I
wasn't gonna
really wanna
ask
see
if
the
you
summer
planned
jams
on it.
again. No, I just wanna see the summer jams again, but I don't wanna have to do it. It takes up a lot of my time,
No, I could
and
tell.
it's fun, but holy shit, I don't wanna spend 3 months, 4 months working on it. I wanna have a job and also have free time and make my own stuff. I haven't gotten to make a game in forever.
Yeah, at a certain point, it just kind of becomes your job, and you're like, eh.
Yeah, I think the last game I made was Fast Food Funkin', and that was for the Flash Forward Jam, like, 2 years ago. I mean, I don't count the advents. They're not really games,
Yeah,
but they kinda scratched that itch for me, just a little bit.
just a
I'm not
little.
doing that either. Yeah, I'm not doing that either. I think Nokoi might be doing it this year.
You gotta go on a sabbatical from community events so you can actually get your own stuff done.
Yeah, well, I also have to, like, make stuff that I wanna make. Like,
Yeah,
right now, there's only 2 projects in my head. And one of them is about these cute little birds.
the cute little birds.
Yeah. I don't wanna say too much because I feel like when, you talk about ideas, um, not that, like, you spread them and other people take them, which is most people's fears, but mine is that once I spread an idea,
You don't want
I
to work
get the
on it anymore.
satisfaction of already making it and
Yeah,
showing it to people. And if I give myself that satisfaction, I never have to make it. I'm like, "Oh, well, I already got the endorphin rush.
yeah. You don't want to let
They
it
liked
breathe
my
too
idea.
much.
I'm done."
You know,
You
yeah,
know?
right. Like you want to
So,
keep it
yeah.
locked in its cage and be like, I'll take you for a walk when it's ready to take you for a walk.
Yeah, like, I'll look at this little, bird puppet on my desk, and I'll be like, "Someday, you'll,
Yeah,
you'll get your film, but nobody gets to know about you yet because if I don't make it, I don't get the endorphin rush."
yeah. You want to keep the incentives in place.
Exactly, I need to incentivize myself. Give me a purpose for living day to day.
Yeah. That's why, like, I'm fine with that if I limit it to like certain people in the back rooms, right? I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to talk about most of the things I want to do out on like a podcast like this where anybody could hear it. I'm like, I'll tell like a couple friends in the background so that like it can live a little, and I can also get maybe some helpful feedback because somebody else knows what I'm planning. But aside from that, it's just like no, stay in your
Yeah.
chest.
Yeah, that's definitely different.
Yeah.
That's its own beast. But yeah, I just man, I just wanna, like, make a living and live near friends.
Mm-hmm.
That's just where I'm at in life right now. But, and I'm doing pretty well on the make a living part as long as Helava keeps making episodes. I don't have to find a new job. Uh,
Yeah, that sounds pretty sweet. I
the
actually,
living
because
thing.
I don't read credits as often as I should. So I had no idea you even did like the compositing of Hell of a Boss until like
I
you
mean,
brought it up like a week ago or something.
people don't even know that I used to make games, and then I like
Yeah,
say that I'm
yeah.
on Nintendo Switch, and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool, I guess, but then like I'm not known as a game developer, but my friends like Jack are known as game developers because they just make more web games than I do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I'm on consoles, and they're not yet, and people don't even like think of me as a developer, but I've leapt ahead like 3 steps.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, you should check out the credits sometimes. I can't remember what episode this is, but I like to screenshot them. I don't watch Helluva. Um, I don't watch it. I
I don't blame
famously
you.
don't watch it. Well, it's because like it's like the Johnny Depp thing. It's like I don't
Yeah.
need to watch it. Um, but I'm glad
Well, you've
people
already
enjoy
seen
it.
like every scene, right? Like,
Well, the thing is, I watch all of the shots I work on without
yeah.
audio, so I
Mm-hmm.
have no context for anything, and they tend to give me emotional scenes, and I can tell they're emotional because people are crying and there's a lot of close-ups.
Yeah.
But I find that funny because like I don't know what's going on, and I learn everything I know about the show from like Twitter hashtags and like YouTube comments. And like I'll learn something that's really obvious to the rest of the team, and I'll say it in a VC, and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, Brandon, are you serious?" I was like, "Dude, Millie and Moxie are married." Dude, that's messed up. That like the shark dude wanted to marry Moxie. He was in a committed relationship. Did his dad know? And they're like, yeah, that was the point of the episode. I'm like, dude, that's crazy.
They're probably thinking like, Brandy, just watch the show.
They're like, just watch the show. And I was like, no, it's too much fun to hear it like from fans. Especially because like the first time I worked on the show, I was a cleanup artist, and the
Yeah.
very first character I cleaned up was a character who hadn't been revealed
Mm-hmm.
yet. It was like human Stolas, and their design wasn't like public knowledge. And so when I went
Yeah.
on Twitter and I saw a bunch of fan art of Stolas, I was like, man, it's really weird that he's off model. And I responded to one tweet like that. I was like, I mean, it looks good. It's kind of off model though. And then and I realized later when the episode came out, I was like, oh, no one knew what he looked like. That was a
Yeah.
fan envisioning. I was like, they were pretty close though.
Yeah, I guess it's a good guess, right? Not knowing.
Yeah, it was like they were on the right track, but
Yeah.
so it's more fun for me that way. Because
Yeah.
like, I'll see clips of the show and go, maybe I should watch it, but it's better this way.
It does sound more fun to be kind of like on the periphery of something that you're involved in and just not
Yeah.
having full knowledge.
Like if I worked on Futurama, which I applied to do,
Yeah.
I'd watch the episodes still. It's just I never watched Televa before, and my only incentive to do it now is just because I work on it, so I might as well not.
Yeah.
And that way also I don't have to defend the writing or anything other people don't like. I'll be like, yeah, but how does it look?
Oh, it looks great.
Yeah, it looks better than ever. I saw season
Yeah.
1 visually.
Yeah, like I watch
only.
it. And I will definitely say like season 2 looks way better than season 1.
Yeah, it looks really good now. I like the team that I'm working with.
Yeah. Writing,
Um,
I can't say the best about, but visually, it's amazing.
I think the writing's gotten better too, just from the clips that I've seen. It's like I know a lot of people's complaints with the show are like, "Oh, it's adult, it's cursing, dick jokes, sex jokes, cursing." And I'm like, as far as I can tell, there's one character, just the main character, and he's the one who's obsessed and he's cursing all the time.
Yeah.
That's his trait. Not everybody does that. And I'm like,
Yeah, there's like other
all right,
peripheral characters that do,
works.
but of the main cast, yeah, he's the one that curses.
Yeah,
the
I was like,
most.
he's the primary. It's not like that's the whole joke that the show relies on. It's like that's how they're showing he's different than them. That's his
Yeah.
quirk.
I think it's getting better again. I feel like there was like a there was like a slump at like the very end of the first season and the beginning. Like they threw us into an episode that just didn't feel like an episode 1 of a season, right? Like maybe if it was re-put as episode 3 or something, it would have been better. But like getting
That's
further
the other
away
thing.
from
I don't know anything about season 2, episode 1 because I started working on season 2, episode 2.
Okay.
So I have no idea what happens. I just know that my friend Ellie animated. She cleaned up the very first shot with like a baby
Okay.
Stolas, and that's all I know about it.
Yeah, so you weren't even involved on like my biggest complaint on the show so far, even as cleanup.
Yeah. Yeah, I started clean up on 202, and then I got the job as compositor for 203.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but I do think it's getting better again. Hopefully it keeps that pace, like that trajectory.
Yeah, it should be a long season. I can't wait to keep working on it. I already have. We're always working, so
Yeah.
we're working on like the next episode. Got deadlines and stuff. Got to do that.
Yeah, like working on an actual show.
Yeah, it's cool. It's nice. I wish it was in person though. Working remote gets kind of lonely.
Mm-hmm.
VCs only help so much, but we don't VC all the time.
Yeah, it's not like you actually have
I just miss school, man.
like a
Living next
studio
to my
room
friends
where
and going to
everyone's
the
working.
studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just different. It's lonely up here, not on top, but at the bottom of the top of the lowest place,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in the middle-ish. It's lonely.
It's lonely in my cave.
Yeah, my cave that's somewhere slightly above the lower class, but not so high that it's upper middle class. It's still lower middle, but not low class cave.
Yeah. And it's
It
like
just is.
being in like a Discord call sometimes is okay, but it's just not the same. It's just not
It's
even close,
not.
especially when you're working with audio sometimes.
Well,
And
especially
you
for
like,
me.
yeah,
Like, because I can't, it's NDA. I can't share
yeah,
anything. It's like
yeah.
the only time I can share screen and actually talk about what I'm working on with other people is when I'm in a call with the coworkers I have in the one
Well, that's what I was
server.
even talking about. Like, you could be in a Discord call with your coworkers, and it's still just not the same. I guess it's better than nothing, but
Well, the thing is, like, I could be in a
yeah,
Discord call with anybody, but then I can't like talk about what I'm working on or share it.
yeah,
I'm just in it. So sometimes I'll like join an office VC with like Psycho Goldfish and Mind Chamber, and we'll just all be working quietly, and I'll just hear the tapping of keyboards. We're all working on our own thing. We're not talking about our work, but we talk about whatever else, and we just hear the click clacks to be like, all right, we're not insane. There's other people working with me.
yeah. It
This
is
is
nice to
normal.
just know that there are other people there.
Yeah. I just want a real studio to go to and like not be the room I do 90% of my life in.
Yeah, actually, I think that's the worst part, right?
Yeah,
Like
for the longest
sometimes
time, I was against having my computer be in the same room as my bed.
same.
It was a very important split for me. And then that went out the window once I was dorming.
Mm-hmm. I was still kind of like that when I was in college, and I had roommates. Right, I wasn't in a dorm. I was in a shared apartment. Like four people would share an apartment. They have a shared living space, but you each get your own room on
Mhm.
campus. I basically the first day abducted the kitchen counter that separated the kitchen from the it was like a table counter that separated the living room from the kitchen, and I'm like, this is my space for work because I don't want my computer in the same room that I sleep.
Yeah, because you got to separate those. It's so hard. Like sometimes I'll just be up and I'll be like, "Well, the computer monitor's still on. I'll go work. I'll go work a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. That's unhealthy. I'll do it. It's not good."
Well, I've been slowly. That's what I'm in right now. But technically, my computer is on the other side of a door. I'll mute myself if I want to like check to make sure everything's going fine for this recording. But I'm in my closet, which is actually a pretty big closet space. I have like a desk in here and everything, but I'm like I don't have everything here. I'm like slowly turning this closet space into an office space. And the thing that's been stopping me is I've been having more voice related stuff. Like I did voice lines for Blue Banana very, very recently. And it's like, I don't want my computer in here because then my microphone will pick up my computer fan. And that's the whole point of having a separate space. But it would be cool to just be an office that isn't my bedroom.
Yeah, you just need that divide.
Yeah. I think people don't realize that either, right? Because especially like if your bed's right there, it's like calling you the entire time.
Yeah, and the reverse is when you're
Mm-hmm.
in bed, you feel like you should be working too.
Exactly. Like you're just never comfortable either way. It's bad feng shui.
I don't believe in feng shui. I went to one of those mystical herb and incense and
Mm-hmm.
sage shops with rocks and shit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was at one the other day, and I was just looking around, totally out of place, because my friend was there looking at some other stuff. I was looking at crystals, and I just went, "Man, all of this bores me." And then I saw a bunch of obsidian shards, and I went, "Is it even legal for them to sell these here? Like, these are straight up like razors, and
Yeah,
they're just in a bowl. Is that okay?
probably.
Do they know these are weapons? They can't if they just have a bowl out like this, right?"
Well, they're not inherently weapons, but somebody
They're
does
inherently a
with them.
razor blade. They're nature's razor blade.
Yeah, it's how bears shave.
Yeah, they were buying and smelling candles and shit. I don't do any of that.
Yeah, no, I don't believe in any of the hokey spiritual stuff. There is
Yeah,
a certain
you don't believe
like
in deodorant either.
I do,
No deodorant, no shampoo, no soap, no nothing.
but
Hand sanitizer gone.
the problem with like there is a practical side of feng shui that I think has been lost because it's been mythicized. But a lot of it, like if you break it down, it's literally just like the natural flow to a room, right? Like traffic and where you go and sit, and also not being distracted. And you can look at
Ah,
it from
like
that
the
perspective.
through line in McDonald's to get to the
Yes.
order and then to the cups and then to the desk and sit
Mm-hmm.
down. I mean table.
Right. And that's
Desk.
like the basis of feng shui. And then it's just been like heavily mythicized over like millennia.
Well, that's because I'm thinking about all the spiritual noise that's mixed up in my front heart and my ajna.
Mm-hmm. Also, I think it's probably a good time to start winding down because I do actually have other things to do, and this is the longest episode to date. I've had fun though. This is a very fun episode.
Yeah,
I
no,
always
feel
enjoy
free to
talking to
cut
you.
out as much as this as you want because, it could be interesting to us in the moment, but I don't know if people would want to listen to 2.5 hours.
Well, I
You
don't know,
feel
man.
feel
Maybe I'm
free to
gonna punish
chop a
them.
whole hour out.
No, no, they have to listen to the whole thing, or none at all, or whatever they decide to stop. I actually can't control their life. They
I'm
could
just
leave that
saying,
thing at any
you can be
time.
creative with your edits. I was listening to the Off the Wall show, which has
Mm-hmm.
recently been taken over by Alistair. And I was listening to their episode with Droid, and I left a review about it because I was just like, man, even the smallest amount of editing, getting rid of these gaps, like, or getting rid of some jokes that don't land, like when you're saying a joke and then like the other person that you're interviewing is like they don't get the joke and so they don't have a response to it, is like if you remove the gaps and remove the jokes that don't land, it's going to cut off like 30 minutes. It's going to cut down from 2.5 to just 2 hours, and it's going to be so much better, and you're going to sound so much smarter. You're going to sound like you know what you're thinking at all times and you have answers ready. Just the littlest bit of editing goes such a long way. So don't
Yeah,
make us
yeah.
look stupid, Metal. You
But
gotta edit
but
out those
also,
brains.
I told you ahead of time that like the whole reason I set it up this way is so I could do very minimal amounts of editing at
Oh, no,
all.
yeah. I'd say minimal. It's just like if you see that gap of silence, you go
Yeah.
snip.
I don't think there's actually going to be that big of a gap of science. I'm
No,
pretty
just every
talkative.
once in
You're
a
really
while.
talkative too. I think most of this time has had some type of noise going on.
Yeah,
And
well, you'd
yeah,
believe that because the waveform has to stretch for 2 hours. But if you
that's
zoom
true.
in there, there'll be some gaps.
There'll be some breather room. But I think we'll be fine. Plus, I like awkward pauses. I don't know. It's some weird thing to me, but I even
No,
listening
add
to
like
other people's
cha-cha
stuff, I
music.
really, really like awkward pauses. Like there's some sadist in me about it. Yeah.
That's a little.
But yeah, thanks for hopping on with me. I've had a pretty good time.
Yeah, of course. Don't let that creepy gremlin who just opened your closet and is about to feast on your brains
Oh
startle
no,
you.
that was me to give myself an audio signal for where I'm gonna start to cut it. I don't know if I'm gonna
Okay.
leave that in or not. I might, but it
Let me
lets
give
me
you a
know.
signal
Yeah.
too. Here we go.
Hmm.
Is that going through?
Oh yeah, yeah. I heard that.
Oh, okay. I'm just going back and forth in my chair.